see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots, and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's back.
All right, guys. Welcome back to the Now You Made It Awkward podcast. Although this is not going to be a full-on podcast, this is going to be a fuck up because I just pushed a button I wasn't supposed to. All right.
It's gonna be one of those extra
Well,
special
I'm still-
specials that we have. That's
I-
quadruple the amount of normal episodes.
I was trying to turn something else off and I hit airplane mode, but we're still connected, so it's fine. All right.
Jesus Christ.
So either way, you can't not fuck things up around here either way. So this is actually going to be Rikki and I's review or discussion about Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever.
forever.
And I did put out
Forever?
Forever. And I put out a couple feelers to see if anybody else wanted to drop their opinion, but I have not seen anything just yet. But if it drops before we're done recording, I'll read those out.
I don't know why I just wanted to do like a whole slip into the Outcast, Miss Jackson, and like do like a whole little lick on I'm sorry, Mr. Skullface, I am for real. But our thoughts on this do not match each other or something like that. Like I wanted to slip into a whole thing.
Yeah. I have not listened to the newest episode of Nerd Rage where Bobby talks about the movie, but apparently
Fucking slacker.
Well, I've been busy listening to other podcasts.
Oh man, if only podcasts could be played while you're at work.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I was listening to other podcasts, including
There are no other podcasts besides Nerd Rage.
Well,
Nerd Rage for life.
There's our podcast, which does matter. So
Yeah.
I was listening to that. I got to
Power
get our
Rager for life, baby.
I got to get our views up. Speaking of which, of course, you can follow me at all the SHOKY and SHOKY reviews related things down below in the description. And of course, you can follow Rikki on his other podcast where he sort of shouts out this podcast.
You specifically.
Yeah. Well, no, because I did go back because I didn't know which episode in particular you were talking about that I got a quote unquote shout out in. So I had to go through a few of them to find it.
And I do shout it out.
And then in
we
one,
only do shout outs. We only do shout outs on the actual show. We don't do them on the Hangouts.
Yeah. That's why I didn't know. I was looking through Hangouts and shows. So you did say one time, because it's like, well, we haven't recorded in 2 weeks. I don't know if that show's still a thing.
Yeah, it was when we were on like our 3-week hiidus and nobody was getting back together. Everybody was busy. I was like, man, I don't even fucking know anymore at this point. We're waiting to figure it out.
It's always still a show. So either way, of course, you can follow Ricky's work on Nerd Rage Radio, where of course that's where he does the promos on Facebook, and then Realm Hatton Project, which is what we were just talking about on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel at 9 p.m. on Fridays. And one of these days, I'll take a Friday off on my own shit, and I'll come join y'all.
Lies and shenanigans.
No, I will. It's like I got to make sure that nothing major is dropping that Friday, so that I don't have a problem, but I'll have to make up for it with like a Wednesday and a Thursday stream to make up for the lack of Friday stream, because that's my
what kind of horse shit is that? I missed one, so I got to do 2 to make up for it. Those people can eat my tank, dude. I'm gonna miss this one. You guys enjoy your night off. Bye, motherfuckers.
No, because on the it doesn't have to make sense channel, Friday is like my big stream night, so like if I don't do it, I do need to make up for it.
So just tell them, hey guys, next week we're gonna do it on Thursday instead of Friday.
Well, I do Thursdays too. Like I got a stream tonight.
Jesus Christ,
so just we have to record this, right? And we got a limited amount of time, and this isn't going to be like a full on episode. We're just talking Black Panther, but I have reviews to film, stuff to edit, and
you got a shout out on your reviews too. You didn't mention that.
Yeah, that is a SHOKY reviews things.
No, you got a shout out about your reviews on ETR.
Oh yeah. Sort of. And then every now and then Bobby shouts me out when we have a discussion about things. But I have not talked to him about Black Panther because I didn't know if he had seen it. Obviously he has. I just haven't listened to that. But like I've watched so on our main podcast episode 33, we gave our rating of the movies, which we both agreed was 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, like a 6.5, 7 on the high side, 6 on the low side, like right in there. Better than average, but not great.
I was gonna go 7 initially, and then I'm like, then I had to.
There
think
was
about
a couple things that I really didn't like that brought it back down to the 6.5.
So let's just go through it like a little bit as a time, and so was it a good movie?
Yes.
So like it was a better movie.
It was a better movie in general, and it was definitely a way better Marvel movie than we've had in quite some time.
Yeah. So in the broader sense of the MCU Phase 4, I would say it's near the top, but I'm not saying it's the best out of Phase 4 because I would say as a movie, Spider-Man No Way Home was actually better.
Nah, I think this was better than Spider-Man No Way Home, and I liked Spider-Man No Way Home.
Well, see, we don't have to agree, but
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying. No, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, if you're looking at it as an MCU movie, Spider-Man scores high, but as just like a real movie put together, kind of lower on the end because it was very fan servicey. Like remember we were talking about Easter eggs, how they should be done properly, and how they aren't. that whole movie was a Easter egg done wrong.
Well,
so
yeah,
it was good. I enjoyed it, and my kids loved it, and I love being able to nerd with them. So it gets a lot of points like that from me too.
And we're talking Spider-Man.
Yeah, from the Spider-Man.
So I'm just making sure people are following.
Yeah,
we're talking about Spider-Man.
We're talking about the whole Phase 4 thing.
Yeah,
I loved Moon Knight. Don't give two shits about She-Hulk. Let's get into that for a little while, just in case Will listens to this episode.
Well, I was trying to not go into She-Hulk.
Not?
No, it's like we've done.
Unfortunately, it's part of the Phase 4. So
unfortunately, we've already done weeks of content about She-Hulk, so we'll leave that. But okay, so Moon Knight I thought was one of the better entries, but if we're talking just specifically movies.
Oh, just movies? You only got what, 3 of them?
Well, that's what I was saying.
Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and this.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, was there any?
Am I missing another?
Black Widow.
Oh, Thor. Thor was part of that shit.
Thor 4, more Thors. See, Bobby calls it Thor 4 and 7 years ago. I call it Thor 4, more Thors, which is actually accurate, to the movie. But so like compared to because I don't think that I think Multiverse of Madness has issues, but I don't think it's this pile of garbage that everybody else says.
It's garbage. It's so bad. I don't care about Sam Raimi. I don't think he's the end-all, be-all.
I think it's a better movie than Thor, because I even said that. I said that in my Thor review. I said in my Thor review, Multiverse of Madness was a better movie.
I don't know about that.
Wait, where was Eternals? Is Eternals?
Was Eternals part of this fucking shit? I thought they were the end of Phase 3. They might have been the beginning.
Google
of Phase
will
4.
tell us. Hold on.
I don't know.
Marvel Phase 4, and it helps if you spell Phase 4 correctly. Let's see here.
Not F-A-Z-E.
Wait, that can't be right.
What does it say?
Okay. Oh, wait, maybe it is.
Endgame finishes Phase 3. So
so this is wrong because
Black Widow would have been part of this because that was like a branch in between Phase 3 and Phase 4.
That Venom doesn't count. That's not an MCU movie.
Nah, it's not MCU. Fucking stupid idiots.
Okay, well, actually, everything else in here makes sense, but this was the original slate for Phase 4. I need the proper one, but I don't think this is incorrect. I think it's just off by just because I thought Spider-Man.
I thought that was the official start of Phase 4. And Phase 3 ended with the end game, but then there was like a couple that were like Phase 3.5s, and I think Black Widow was in that little pocket. But you might as well say Phase 4. It don't matter. Phase 4 has been weak.
Yeah. Well,
I still have not seen that whole Black Widow movie, and I've tried twice.
See, to me, Phase 4. I guess Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, that was in there. That's good. That was
Shang-Chi's a good movie. Eternals. Okay, so. Man,
Eternals was just boring. It wasn't a bad movie. It was just boring.
I think it was boring, and I think it just didn't have enough to do, and I think that was part of the problem. Okay, so according to this, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Thor, and Black Panther. So that's the movies in Phase 4.
Okay.
And so I think that Thor, Eternals, and. Okay, so if I'm gonna rank the movies in Phase 4, which just going on this tangent, Thor's at the bottom. I'm sorry, Eternals is at the bottom.
I think Eternals is better than Thor.
So I'll say I'll change that.
We can do ties. We're doing ties. We're not doing top 5 here.
We're not doing a top 5. So I'd say Thor and Eternals are fighting it out for who was dumber.
Sucks it the most.
Sucks the most. And then I would put above that maybe Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, or Black Panther, then Spider-Man. So I'd say that Spider-Man did more for the universe, no pun, and even multiverse, than this movie did, in my opinion. But that's just where we're
This
getting
isn't
at there.
supposed to touch the multiverse. This
No,
one
I
is
know, but
just
I'm
kind
just
of
I
it's a
was making the
pocket story.
joke because
Yeah, I got you.
So, but the thing
See,
is
I
with
would
the
go. There's a three-way tie from my bottom, and that is Multiverse of Madness, Thor, and fucking what's the other one that you mentioned in there? Black Widow. I say Black Widow because I can't make my. I watched Eternals, finished the whole movie, and I've tried twice with Black Widow, and I can't make it. So something in there loses me every time. Thor was only bad because of Thor. If it had been Thor and the Rock guy, those two guys hadn't been in that movie, I probably would have enjoyed that movie a lot more.
sure.
And then Multiverse of Madness was just a bunch of Sam Raimi stroking his own dick for his fans vomit on a screen. So did not like that. After that, I would go Eternals because
Oh,
although it was slow, it had very interesting stories and things that can be very far reaching into the future of the MCU. So I think it had more interesting stuff in it than those other three. Then what's left? Spider-Man and Black Panther. Is that it?
think so.
All right, so those two, I'm back and forth on who I'd give number one. If I'm giving an overall
Man.
movie rating as number one, then Spider-Man wins. But which do I enjoy more? I would probably put them back and forth with each other because I do take into account how my kids felt about it.
Yeah. Okay, so officially Quantumania begins phase 5.
Oh, cool story.
So that's I'm trying to knock or is this the proper one? It looks like the proper one. Yes. Okay. Is it got it's missing one thing from this list. Okay. So maybe it's live action. All right, so phase 4 yeah, okay. So phase 4 started with WandaVision.
Mhm.
So if we're talking TV shows, we got WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and What If.
I'm gonna forget all of that.
Okay,
shit.
well, we're not ranking. We're just talking about because we've watched them
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
So to
Y'all
me,
already know the bottom of my list, so I don't even need to beat that drum anymore.
yeah, so we don't have to go there. But I like for me, I would say like the only one that was kind of a slight miss, no pun intended, would be Miss Marvel.
Mhm.
Just because it wasn't for me. It wasn't bad
Yeah,
by any means, but it just wasn't for me. What If I thought did some really cool shit for
but it
a
also had some really
cartoon.
dumb shit in there too.
Yeah, but I think it. I mean, that's kind of
Overall, it was
that's the whole
enjoyable.
thing. The whole thing.
Yeah.
But like, Loki is my favorite, followed by WandaVision, and then I would say Moon Knight, Hawkeye, and Falcon Winter Soldier were roughly the same. I don't think there's anything that is just a steaming pile of shit in there. Unlike you, where you say steaming pile of
You're-
She-Hulk.
mhm.
So like I would say She-Hulk is the weakest, but not the worst,
The worst.
because I don't consider any of them bad in this case.
It's
Whereas
okay to be
whereas I
wrong.
say like Eternals is bad. So like phase 4 has been basically what I called the recovery era. Like it's just literally like
I don't even
everything
know if
we've
it's recovery. I think they're keeping just enough juice pumping in the heart to keep the thing from fucking
well
dying, waiting for it to get up
well I
again.
mean literally like someone's in like recovery. Like we went through
It's
some
like CPR.
they went through some
Like all
we
of
went through
phase four
some
is CPR.
like it's just like it's the ICU of the MCU. So
Yes.
so
Yeah.
like the problem
I'll give you that one.
we came from literally like an earth-shattering ending of phase 3 to like
No pun
okay,
intended.
and then we basically start over with like
Technically, it was moon shattering.
yeah, but like whatever. So but I've looked at it as like everything from here in this movie or in this whole chunk of stuff, with the exception of maybe Eternals, because Eternals was just on their own doing whatever. Everyone else has basically had to play with what was broken. Like it's like okay, so we're just dealing with what was broken and we're going from there. You
Black
know,
Panther didn't have to.
well, yes, it did because we lost Chadwick. So like
That's not a broken story in the movie either.
no,
You're saying,
but that's broken in universe because they had to write that in.
Mhm.
Like that's the problem. Is like this with Chadwick Boseman dying, it really fucked everything up in this
story
in this story
in
and
this Black Panther section.
in the Black Panther section, and of course at least we got his final acting as Black Panther in What If,
Yeah,
which was cool.
I liked him as
And
Star-Lord.
and by the way, I will say outright, Mike was wrong, 100% wrong.
About
because
most
he
things.
repeatedly claimed and yelled and read about them betraying Chadwick Boseman and like recreating him and replacing him. I was like, they didn't
Well,
do any of
they
that.
could have. First of all, they okay to put that silly argument to rest.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man movie and Doctor Strange multiverse of trash opened up the ability for them to recast him as Black Panther, as T'Challa, by just making it a multiverse option.
If they
But they
even wanted to
did
go
not
there.
do that. But
Yeah.
they did not do that.
Yeah.
And I will say this, that opening of that movie, man, hit me right in my fucking gut. Like I was telling, like we were talking with Dormammu last week,
Yeah.
or the other day, not last week, the other day.
Well, yeah.
That was such a great handling of that. Like the preview, boom, immediately cold open straight into Black Panther being gone and them having to handle it. Like there was
Yeah.
no forewarning
Oh,
that the movie had just
By
started.
by
And
the
I
way, guys,
love that.
by the way, I just want to interject. This will be a spoiler review. Just,
And I'm going to interject.
let's
If your dumbasses clicked on
yeah.
something where we said we're talking about Black Panther and you thought it was going to be spoiler free, you can go
The
fuck yourself.
so if you missed it in the normal episode when we said this would be a spoiler review, here we go. But okay,
I'm so tired of that bullshit in 2022. If you click on something about a fucking movie you haven't
well,
seen yet, that's your own fucking fault if you get spoiled to something.
this is true.
That's not a spoiler. A spoiler is if we name this show, hey, we're definitely not talking about Black Panther, and then you click play and we start talking about Black Panther. That's a fucking spoiler.
Well,
Who's
now I know
clicking on something where
now I know
we
what the
talk about Black
title's going to be.
Panther? Oh yeah,
The title's 100%. We're
spoiler
totally
alert,
not
we're
talking.
not talking about Black Panther.
Not talking
Wink.
about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Wink.
Which by the way, okay, so just to go back down that path. All right, so they had options to either pull somebody from the multiverse, which they would have had to do an ass pull, or just straight recast him. But I think with the way he passed, no one wanted to go there. I think Ryan because they've talked to Ryan Coogler, and because the original script has kind of come to light, and he said that he sent it to Chadwick to check it out and give his thoughts, and he said, okay, I'll check it out, read it later, after like him not getting back to him for a while. Like he said, he sent him a message and he's like, hey, check this thing out, and then he finally gets back to him and he's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I'll read it here in a bit. And then like he didn't hear back for a few days, and he's like, hey, did you get a chance to read? He's like, no, not yet. And it's basically like he was going through his cancer treatments, whatever was going on at that point. So this was obviously leading up to everything like that, and then eventually he said he did like the script, and then basically kind of went from there, and then he did pass on. So the thing is, like, and I agree with a few other people that, and whether you agree or not, I think they to keep the stories just going properly, like because it's not just a singular thing. I mean, if we're doing Black Panther only and nothing else existed, yes, do it this way, where we just don't replace him, we don't recast, we just let it play the way this movie did. But given the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe that needs to go on with this character, they did a disservice, in my opinion, by not just recasting him. Like they could have honored Chadwick. They could have just honored him in their own way and recast him. And like there's people who've said out there, like, I think that they call him Chad. He would have actually just rathered them just recast the role and just keep moving without him. And I mean, like, nobody's mad that they honored him the way they did, except for fans, but he would not have been upset.
I wouldn't call those people fans, because they gave that man so much. Like, think about the level of love in an MCU movie that they showed Chadwick Boseman as a person. Nobody except for Stan Lee has gotten the send off that he got.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
maybe Iron Man.
I wouldn't even say that, because Iron Man, they did not give him the whole opening. This is for our brother Chadwick Boseman. They didn't give him the quiet Marvel with just Black Panthers all playing on it. Like, none of that stuff.
I mean, he did get a whole on-screen funeral and then the credits and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's part of the story. I'm talking about the person. Like they didn't do a whole thing for Robert Downey Jr. in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was not like that. This
Well-
is something that they haven't done except for Stan Lee. When Stan Lee passed in the Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel movie, they did the Marvel opening with all the Stan Lee cameos on the
Yeah.
Marvel letters as it spelled out Marvel.
Yeah.
This time they did it with Chadwick, and that's the only two people that's ever happened with, and that's pretty big. You know, that'll forever be part of that movie.
And there's no reason they couldn't have done that same level of honoring. I almost said honoration. Is that a word? Sounds like a word.
No.
Either way, they could have done all that same stuff and like honored the fact that he passed away, and let the character in the story play the same way.
I'm not taking that away. I'm not saying that one negates the other. I'm just saying I did love how they handled it.
I think that in that case, yes, is like, and my argument was they did the absolute best they could
with a very bad situation
without just recasting.
Right.
Now we'll never know how good a movie we could have had.
Yeah,
because we'll get this. Now we can see the script, like the original script,
but that's not the same thing.
Story. Well, they said that the Namor stuff is basically the same. The only thing that
changed. Well, hold on. Let's hold off on Namor because I have a whole thing.
I know, I do too. I do too. But I'm just saying, like within the script, what was talked about is that basically everything that happens between Talokan and Wakanda is essentially the same. It's just they didn't have to go through all the Shuri stuff. They didn't have to go with replacing everything else like that. So they would have actually rewritten how Black Panther and Wakanda got involved in that situation, which would have actually probably affected a lot. And it probably would have put them more at odds than what actually
Black
happened.
Panther and Namor have a deep history in the comics.
Exactly.
They had a lot to draw on and play off of.
They were basing it a lot off of that stories. Plus, is it Secret Wars 2 where they flooded Wakanda? I believe. I think it was Secret Wars 2.
It might have been.
So, if I recall, that's where that part of the story came in. But there was a lot more integrated with T'Challa's character, obviously, because he would have been here. Now, does that mean that they will never replace T'Challa?
Of course not.
No,
of course not.
Now, they didn't replace T'Challa, but they gave us a potential way forward down the line. However,
wait, you're skipping straight to the end of the movie.
I know. I'm teasing. I'm not skipping. Because why does
nobody likes a cock tease? Shoki.
I must be accidentally like touching my screen or something because I'm trying to keep my review up, like because I actually did.
Bitch, get off your fucking review. I'm winging this shit too. Get off.
Well,
that bullshit.
I'm not reading from it. I'm keeping myself in line with my thoughts since I have them already spelled out. So
now here's my thing. Before we go too far,
yeah.
It was a theory I'd presented talking with you and Dormammu, and to me, I've played it over and over in my head, and I think it would have checked all the right boxes. They would have kept the fan disappointment to as small as they possibly could have, which is what they were trying to do. You're gonna upset somebody, so they have to try to pick the smallest pocket to be the ones upset, so it doesn't affect their overall monies, which I get. But I still think because of the multiverse capabilities, they could have brought Michael B. Jordan back. They could have brought Killmonger from another multiverse where he was not a bad guy, and brought him over. Maybe in his universe, T'Challa was his right-hand man, and T'Challa died over there. And so he already carried that weight of having lost T'Challa. And then he came over here where they had lost T'Challa and then honored and respected him by becoming the Black Panther here. You know, they could have done something along those lines, brought Michael B. Jordan back because everybody liked him as Killmonger, and Marvel did their stupid Marvel shit, killed him at the end of the movie. They could have brought him back. They would have had a big name star that already pre-exists in the MCU. People know who they are. They're not giving them a different name, which they do anyways. So, I mean, they could have done that. And I think, and it would have fit with comic continuity because Killmonger has been Black Panther in the comics.
Well, what if they didn't even go that far, that the original universe, like they changed his mind and imprisoned him instead of killing him?
Yeah, like, but they killed him. They showed him.
But I'm saying, like instead of it's like a universe where he like was never bad, it's a universe where he
he was
changed his
bad
mind.
and
Yeah.
then reformed.
Yeah, he
Something
reformed.
along those lines.
So, but
And he wants to pay the respect to this Black Panther carrying his mantle to make up for his past mistakes. They
yeah,
could have done that in multiple different directions.
I think,
And I think it would have gave him the star power because of who he is, Michael B. Jordan.
yeah,
It would have gave them a pre-existing character. He already knows, he as the actor already knows that character and knows how to play him. And I think that would have been a good way to move it forward. My other option that we'll get to later, they could use, they are suggesting they might use, but in my book, they've already fucked the pooch on that one. So
they
we'll
did and
get
they
to that in
didn't.
a
We'll
little
get to
while.
it, but
Yeah.
so the only thing is, there's no way they could have used a multiverse ass pool unless in that multiverse they can monitor other multiverses, and then they would know that we just lost this one here and I need to replace. There was no setup.
Do we live
for
in a
that.
world where you haven't seen the Spider-Man movies? They can do whatever fuck they want to. Those other Spider-Mans
but-
didn't know each other. He could be accidentally pulled over here for some accidental. They were Shuri in his
they would've-
world
they-
was
and-
fucking around with something and dropped him here by accident.
And once again, it would have to be an ass pool, but they weren't ready for the multiverse saga yet. We're wrapping up the recovery saga, right? Multiverse saga is next week, or whenever Ant-Man drops.
They've already dumped out 2 multiverse movies.
Yeah, those are the
talked about it in the shows,
which
so
was
they can totally do
the
it.
teaser to get us there, but we weren't ready for that as the main thing yet. That's next week, as I keep saying, or whenever
I
Ant-Man,
gotcha.
Ant-Man drops. Pretty March, right?
Yeah, I don't care.
Or is it in December? It's
I don't know.
It's soon.
I don't
But
think it's
anyway.
this year because I thought Black Panther was like the last big thing of the year.
Well, it may not be the last big thing, but it's the last thing of Phase 4.
The
like we
MCU,
said.
I'm saying.
But I think that I don't even think that bothering to go that far matters. Like, they literally just could have pulled a really good. They had 2 years, you know. They had 2 years to figure it out. Well, I mean, not even quite. They could have cast somebody. They could have recast him straight up, like, and just move on like we've done with other recastings. Like, look, it sucks what happened here. We're going to acknowledge what happened here, but we're gonna keep moving with the story we've got with a new actor. Fuck, they're replacing Thunderbolt Ross apparently. You know, John Hurt passed too. No, William Hurt passed away, and they're
now they got Sam Neill.
No, not even that. They're talking about doing it with Harrison Ford.
Not Sam. Did I say Sam? Sam Neill's the country cowboy guy, right?
Sure.
No. Sam Neill's the guy from Jurassic Park.
They're both Sam Neill.
They are? Okay. So I'm not confusing them. But you know who I'm talking about, right? The guy with the big old bushy mustache and shit.
Yeah, he was he's already been replaced. He was Thunderbolt Ross.
Oh, so he was before Hurt.
Yeah, so he played it. So they've already recast that role twice because I think
he was the one in the
he was an Ang Lee one, and then we've had William Hurt, and now we're supposedly, I doubt they'll go this way because it makes no damn sense to go with Harrison Ford.
Who's like 90.
Yeah, who's like fucking 90 years old. That'd be so stupid. Thunderbolt Ross is basically in his 50s or 60s at best.
He's like in his 50s. He's a general. He's probably in his 50s.
They need a decent actor with a mustache. They could make this happen. It's so stupid because Harrison Ford can't pull off facial hair. So let's just not go there at all. Either way, we're going down the wrong rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're going on a rabbit hole. Let's get back to Black Panther.
But the idea that they did not do any digital recreation, didn't do any body doubling. Chadwick Boseman, with the exception of either a flashback or a painting on a wall, was not present in this movie at all. And a lot of people, including Mike, swore up and down that they were going to do digital recreations, even if it was for like a
that's because one person came up with that crazy fucking idea and put it on the internet, and then everybody fucking read it and acted like it was written by Kevin Feige himself. People need to relax.
And they Marvel literally said, we are not going to do that. It's like,
and when they do shit like that, it's a surprise. Like when they de-aged Tarkin and they de-aged fucking Leia, we didn't know about that shit 2 years ahead of time. We assumed they were gonna have to do something like that, but we didn't know until they fucking did it. They don't let shit like that out.
Yeah, so I mean, if they deep faked him and then like killed him off in the first thing, that would have been really fucked up. Like having him die off screen, while sad, makes sense.
It's because our human nature, we want to. This is our hero that we're here to see, and he died. You better not fucking tell me he slipped on a banana peel and cracked his head. You know, I don't want to know that shit. I want to see it happen. But they handled it because it wasn't him leaving the movie. It was literally a human being died who played this character.
Yeah.
And they handled it the best they could. They didn't come right out and say cancer, but they came right out and
He
said
died
fuck
of
cancer.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, but they came right out and said fuck cancer, you know what I mean, without having to say it. And I thought that was beautiful, when
Now,
Shuri was doing her whole this disease that I couldn't stop came out of nowhere and took my brother from me. And
yeah.
it makes me mad. I was like, dude, that kind of it hit me a little hard. That was some of her best acting in that whole movie, because spoiler alert, she's the worst part of this movie.
Yes. So, and by the way, on that note, I kind of want them to keep this mystery disease in universe.
Leave it that way. Just leave it there.
No. Leave it in universe. Like,
oh no,
have it. No,
I don't need anybody else dying from this stuff.
No,
it would take
I do.
away the gravitas of doing it to Chadwick's
Well,
character.
do you know why I want it there? Because they already have an excuse that it affects people who were blipped. Like, because that actually is a good way to, because remember there was supposedly some rampant disease that was happening in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and that was part of the vaccine plot that never went anywhere. So like they could say that there is a disease that came out of nowhere after everyone came back, and
could, but I don't think they should, because that takes away the gravitas.
I don't think it does. I think it actually gives an in-universe explanation as to how somebody so powerful could die off.
I mean, it does in universe, but I'm saying it disrespects Chadwick Boseman actually dying from cancer.
I think if they start killing everyone off of colon cancer, yes, that would kill everybody, or that would be. But I think that it actually makes a better excuse for that, because we've already tipped into a plot of a disease and then just abandoned it, and now we have one of our stars in universe who should have been immune to every possible disease dies of some insane disease randomly.
Why would he be immune to every disease? That's not part of Black Panther's power set.
Because he has an insane healing factor, and he should be immune to virtually any disease.
But he doesn't have any insane healing factor. They had to use the purple flowers.
The heart-shaped herb gives them insane. But in his body, that's one reason why she was synthesizing it from his DNA as well, because it's in him. Yeah, because it's in him. So that was part of the thing, is why it's a panicking situation, and why she was trying to create more heart-shaped herb was to try to boost it. Like, because he had some pretty ridiculous I mean, look at it this way: if they didn't have a ridiculous healing factor, sure, he's dead. Spoilers for the end of the movie. Basically, she has a hole through her body, and actually should have severed her spine, because nobody ever thinks about slightly moving objects to the left or the right when they stab down the middle. It's like, oh, by the way, her entire lower body should be not functional, because that spear went straight through her body. Yeah, so that total vibranium thing, but like there's a healing factor to it if you get treatment fast enough, obviously. But like, because T'Challa took some damage in his fight with Killmonger, and then
he didn't have they'd canceled out his stuff at that point.
Yeah, and then Killmonger. Well, I'm talking about later in the movie, because when he and Killmonger fight, he does take damage, but then like Killmonger dies from vibranium spear tip through his body, but then he also let himself die. He wouldn't take anything. So for their own tech and the heart-shaped herb to have no effect on this disease, it is something super big.
A lot of people I have heard are bitching about this synthesizing the purple heart plant, and I'm going to say this: the fact that there was any purple heart plant in the first Black Panther after Killmonger was dumb. Like, I thought that when I'm going to apologize ahead of time if I mix up characters' names or say them wrong. Let's just get over it.
Sure.
But I think it was Nakia.
Yeah.
Went in and like stole one. Like, she walked into a room surrounded by all the villains, including Killmonger, and just boop, picked one up. Well, just happened to have it on her when they needed it to find Black Panther, who they thought was dead and gone. So she just randomly plucked one just to have one on hand, and magically needed it 30 seconds later.
Well, no, she snuck in there from the side as being the super spy that she is, and they took it to M'Baku to make him the new Black Panther.
And what I'm trying to get to is, I'm glad I didn't go, oh, well, by the way, when I grabbed one, I actually grabbed two, or we had seeds from it and planted another plant. I'm glad they didn't go that route. Like, that'd be too many coincidental bullshits.
I think that
happened out.
I think somewhere in there, somebody actually talked about that. It's like, why did nobody think to save seeds of the damn thing? It's like, yeah, it's a sacred herb. It's a flower almost is really what it is. But it's like I love like the fact that she can synthesize it. I mean, let's just be honest here. They're essentially using alien tech. It's like they're so far advanced other than Tony Stark. You know, it's like
Which
they're
is crazy that he can even keep up with them when they're using this kind of technology.
yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't care how smart he is. Now you're giving him god level
there's some.
intelligence.
Well, I mean, damn. By the time of Endgame, yeah, they were there. You know, so but like the fact that they had no source of it, no real, it was like, and nobody's thought to plant a plant on top of a vibranium mound to see if they could replicate it the natural way in all of these decades, you know, or shit, thousands of years. They're just like, no, it was good the first time. We never bothered to fix it or replicate
Yeah.
it. But either way, so she fails at first, which the fact that they can do like hard light constructions, not just holograms, is cool. So like that whole DNA strand comes up and she like physically
Yeah.
like picks a ball up,
Yeah,
modifies
moving
it,
them
put it
around.
back
Yeah.
in. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. She's literally molecularly engineering this shit in hand, not just, you know, I mean, it's fine when you're using pipettes and moving stuff around, but like everything about this movie, if we're going to talk some negatives, is so fast. They move across the world like nothing. There's back and forth between America and Wakanda, back and forth between Haiti and Wakanda, back and forth between wherever they were in
You would
like
think the movie
near.
only happened in like 48 hours the way it's put together, but it has to be longer than that.
Well, he gave him like 5 days, and then I don't even think he technically held true to those 5 days. Well, I guess he might have. I think I'm thinking of a different movie where they said, "Well, you expect your enemy to do what? What was that from? That was from something
No,
recent."
I think it was
Um,
that one. He's like, he gave her a week to mourn and bury her dead. I think
yeah,
is
so
what he
they
told
had
her.
time. Well, they also would have had to build a lot of shit in that amount of time too. Not to mention, run off to America to recruit the other thing that's going on in this movie.
You have
Um,
to suspend disbelief in in some of this stuff
to
because the rate that they're building stuff,
yeah.
the vibranium itself would have to be intelligent
Well,
because it's almost
they
like
are.
it's building itself while nobody's looking.
To be fair, hold on.
To be fair,
Well, to be
Oh,
fair,
don't say to be fair. I hate
you gotta
when
get
people say
quicker with
to
these
be fair.
drops,
It
man.
sounds
No, I'm
like,
hitting it.
to be fair.
Oh, I don't hear shit.
well, to be fair,
Yeah, because I turned that off. Remember. Either way, it's in the edit. So
Maybe
the
it'll be in there. To
it's
be
in it's
fair,
in the edit. Believe me. So either way,
I think it's better if we just do it. Fuck them
so
drops.
so no, the drops are fun. Either way, no. They do have nanotech, so all they have to do is basically program the things. They already have nanotech. They have nanotech vibranium. They have vibranium in every form that it exists, so they can literally just start at vibranium dust with their nanobots and just. I mean,
But even still, it takes a long time to. People have a
to you.
misunderstanding. No, a misunderstanding of how computer works. People who are really good computers take a long time to have to program stuff. Programming takes a long time
Sure.
because you have to work out kinks and do all this shit for each individual program. So it's
But
not that they
but
just
Ricky,
think it nanobots. Okay, we got you. You have to program them nanobots to do that shit.
yeah. And what do you think that her Wakandan Jarvis does?
Oh my
Her
god.
Wakandan Jarvis does everything, just like Tony told Jarvis just to do things, and it happened. Remember, Tony created his first Iron Man, like the proper Iron Man armor. Like it was manufactured in house under his house in Malibu, like by machines doing shit underground. Like that
With
wasn't done.
him working on the computer, taking days, they had a whole montage of how it took so
Yeah,
long to build everything and put it
yeah.
together.
He built some
Not
of it.
30 seconds later.
No, but after he built the initial one and had it scanned in part for part, Jarvis just replicated that shit in the basement, like without Tony doing anything. So like they can replicate a Panther suit however they want. They can if they already know how certain weapons work, all they have to
Some
do is
pre-existing thing, they could just use that program over and
like
over.
so
But what
they've
I'm saying
got
is they're making up whole new
but
weapons like
they're
on the
also like
fly.
200 years ahead of us technologically. So it's like there's no good reason to think that Wakandans can't just do that. Like remember even
This whole entire movie is about them battling an underwater race of people that they didn't even know existed, and yet they had weapons that started working against them immediately, which does not make any fucking sense. I don't care how technologically
none of their
advanced they are.
weapons did work against them.
Guess they did. They were stabbing them, fucking them up, the fucking
And
Sonic thing and all
yeah,
that shit.
and when
Get
they
the fuck
stabbed
outta
them,
here.
they got right back up and kept walking.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they used the sonic weapons on them, they eventually just broke them. Like
Mm-hmm.
the sonic weapons affected them underwater, except that all you had to do was just not deal with that and then smash it.
But my question for you is, why the fuck would they have ever had a ship with a sonic weapon that goddamn big if they never had to fight any underwater people before? That's what I'm saying is
They didn't. They just
they can be
manufactured it.
technologically advanced that fast. You saw the size of that fucking ship. That weapon specifically against that enemy, and they did that in a day? No, the fuck way. No.
Well, no,
No,
it was
no.
a couple days after, before
No.
they went out
Mhm.
there into the ocean. They had a couple days, but once again, Wakanda, several hundred years ahead of us.
Technologically, yes, their stuff is more advanced, but they still have to come up with the concept, build the idea,
Well,
program
they
the
already
machine to
had
make it,
sonic
then
weapons.
physically put it together.
Yeah, they already have sonic weapons. That's not a
They
big deal.
physically built that ship with that weapon at that size.
No, they didn't make
in
the
2
whole
days.
ship. I think that was the ship wasn't. It was implied that they had the ship, submarine, whatever it technically was. Because it's basically a super yacht. It was basically a vibranium super yacht. Which,
Like I said, they basically
how
yada
does a
yada what
landlocked
happened
country? How does a landlocked country have a navy?
there. Exactly.
So they already have a ship on the water. All they had to do was basically create a new weapon that they could just install.
Dry dock the ship, install this weapon.
Why do they need to dry
after
dock it? They could do it underwater. There's nothing that says they
How?
can't.
They're fucking cats.
Once again,
They're cats.
technology we don't understand, Ricky.
Water and cats.
They're basically aliens that live in the middle of Africa.
Yeah, get out of here. They're not aliens at all, dude. That's
No,
not how that
well,
works.
no. Well, once again, okay, then it's magic, which is just
Exactly what I'm saying. They yada yada that whole thing away.
Any sufficiently technologically advanced society would appear as though magic. So,
boo.
Thor literally gives you that.
You're yada yadaing. They're yada yada.
Yeah, remember, how did the Asgardians just pull stuff out and travel through the fucking universe? Is it magic or technology? Same difference at that level.
No, they did magic or science, and they said it's the same thing. It's just different.
Magic, technology, science. They had floating boats. Is it by magic or was it a hoverboat? We don't know because nobody knows. They're thousands of years older than us. It's like Wakanda.
But Wakanda is not thousands of years older than us. They did not have that technology.
I'm talking about
back
Asgard.
then.
I'm talking about Asgard.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but you're saying they're that advanced over us. They didn't because they didn't have those ships and stuff back when they
have
first got the Purple Heart.
They have a gigantic bubble shield hologram that doesn't even allow their city to be hidden or anyone to penetrate it if they don't want
unless you swim under the water.
Yeah, that's one of the big problems.
Because they weren't prepared for under fucking water things. That's what I'm fucking saying. He literally just swam underneath their shit because they weren't prepared for an enemy that came from out of the water. But yet they all of a sudden were ready for an enemy that came out from under the water.
Yeah, they're like Batman.
They had ships ready to go. They had ships ready to go.
How does Batman prepare for anything?
Yada yada. Exactly. That's the fucking point. Yada yada.
He encounters it once and then comes up with a plan.
Yes, comes up with a plan and then has to work too. He doesn't just magically have this shit. Time passes.
But okay, so here's the problem: is that you're assuming that Shuri built it with her 2 hands and then put it on the boat.
No, I'm not.
They have. We don't even know. We don't even know what their manufacturing base looks like in Wakanda at all. So the fact that
what I'm telling you is, I worked at a manufacturing plant.
Were they 200 years more advanced than us?
That built one missile. One missile.
Yeah.
Would take 3 weeks to put together with thousands of workers on it. One missile.
Yeah.
And then they built a whole fucking ship in 2 goddamn days? No fucking way.
Well,
no way.
Once again, assuming they had the ship. 2, just all they had to do was make the necessary modifications.
Which that's what I'm saying. You're yada yadaing that. Let's
the movie yada yada
sports card. And now that's what I'm pointing out. And you're
so
saying,
why do you have a problem with the movie doing science magic?
Because they haven't done that before.
Yes, they have.
No, they haven't.
Tony Stark makes changes on the fly.
About Stark. No. Think about like him having to be able to come back and fight against Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. They might have yada yada how he all of a sudden had that capability to do that. But he had fought with Thanos before and time passed. Yeah. So that whole time he was working on it. Not 1 day, not 2 days, a long period of time passes. He had an idea, he worked on it, he conceptualized it, he built it, he tested it. All these things happen. It wasn't he fought Thanos on Monday and Wednesday had a weapon to stop him.
No, what he did do was invent time travel and a multiversal time travel GPS in less than 2 days, and
It's because he had it
manufactured
all
them,
there. He
and
just had
manufactured them.
that one thing sitting there
Yeah,
waiting to happen.
and he manufactured those,
Hmm.
and
But that didn't happen overnight.
and manufactured all the nano suits that were perfect for everyone, and they built the entire time travel
Well, now
device.
nanosuits manufacture themselves. They're literally nanosuits.
Okay, so Wakanda was already ahead of them on nanotech. You're telling me that nanotech can't... Everything that Wakanda has is essentially nanotech, whether it's
Mhm.
functional or building itself constantly. So you're telling me that they can't have nanotech that just goes, okay, rearrange all of these... It's like they're basically just turning vibranium into different vibranium things. So so they have this power. Why are we still having this argument? It doesn't matter. They did it. So therefore,
They yada yada it, and I'm saying that, and you're trying
also
to tell me I'm yada
basically
yadaing.
basically
You're yada yadaing my fact that they yada yada it instead of just saying yeah they yada yada
and
it.
also basically all they created was a super powerful focused speaker.
So we're on the same page that She-Hulk sucks ass. Got it.
I'm not even talking about She-Hulk,
Next.
because they yada yada how they make super stretchy fabric.
They yada yada why the fuck I needed to see her twerk.
So let's just talk about the other yada yada in the room, which is actually not
Yep.
yada yada, it's Riri. She
That
did
was
not need to be in this movie at
at
all.
all. She was shoehorned in. They forced
Completely
that to happen.
unnecessary.
Yep.
She was only there to be a
Ooh,
not...
look, it's an Iron Man armor.
She was only there to be a non-Wakandan shoulder to cry on for
Yep.
for Shuri, which, by the
Yep.
way, I now call them Shuriri. As a team, they are now Shuriri.
Yeah. That is literally her only reason is she's the plot development
She's...
point that makes Shuri look outside of Wakanda rules. Like that was her.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have to act like a Wakandan just because I am Wakandan.
Well, she already did.
Yeah.
She already did that anyways because she was
Somewhat.
She was basically the millennial version. She didn't follow tradition. She didn't do anything. She wanted advanced, like modern Wakanda, basically. I mean, she invented quote unquote sneakers, so that things looked cool and didn't have to be traditional. And like, but then the thing was with her, like she didn't need to be in this because her device was the only thing that mattered, and it never mattered to kill her. It only mattered to destroy her device and or hack any place that had it stored, because it was the US government that built the device and was trying to use it, not her.
And you're telling me Wakanda couldn't
Actually,
yada yada their way into destroying it without Riri?
Hold on, I have to go back. I incorrectly stated that. Riri created the device but didn't know if it would work. It actually it was the government who took it. Actually, it was her professor who sold it to the government. That's why they didn't have another one. They only had the one, and somebody would have to buy another. She built it out of like car parts somehow. So if you want to talk about yada yadaing, a 19-year-old super genius built a device no one has ever been able to build out of junk, and the U.S. government took it, strapped it to a mini sub, and started... Well, I don't know why they decided to use it on the bottom of the ocean first, but whatever.
They're going for vibranium.
Yeah, but how would they know the vibranium was on the bottom of the ocean?
Because that's what that thing did. It detected vibranium.
Yeah, but we don't even know the range on it. It's just it detects vibranium somewhere, because in theory they don't even know where Wakanda physically is, because no one is allowed to physically go to Wakanda. So
well, you would know where it is if you try to fly a plane. All you'd have to do is start at a plane at the south tip of Africa and just keep flying north until you run into an invisible fucking wall. I mean, they'll know. I guarantee you, they know where Wakanda is.
Yeah, and then nobody would be able to tell you because you'd be dead.
Yeah, your plane would blip off a radar right there.
Actually,
and then you do it from east to west, and when the cross section hits where they blipped at, that's where fucking Wakanda is. I guarantee you, everybody knows where Wakanda is. They just can't get to it.
Exactly.
That's not the same thing.
So they would be able to. So in case now that, well, actually, the U.S. government wouldn't know that they can access Wakanda from underwater, which still makes no goddamn sense. But I mean, there's a plot hole, and it runs directly under Africa, because
the underwater travel tubes that they used in fucking Kong Skull Island or whatever the fuck it was, the one with him and Godzilla. Like they use those tubes.
I just want to know how the feather serpent god got there, because that would mean Wakanda knows that there are waterways that run underground that they just
And
never
just ignore
bothered
'em.
to
Yep.
put security on. Because, well, I mean,
Yep.
why would you? I mean, in theory, it's a hole only big enough for like a person or two to get through. Even though in this case, hundreds of people to get through, along with all their water bombs. By the way,
Which, by the way, stupid water balloons that just destroy everything. Dumb, dumb, Mac, dumb.
No, that's not even the problem. It's that you can't compress a liquid that way, but somehow they do. Which means there's got to be some type of impossible pressure situation going on there. Yeah, they talk about yada yadaing compressed water balls that you can use en masse to blow a submarine out of the water, which actually is pretty fucking cool when you think about it, but makes no sense logically. So, I mean, how we talk about how they invented
vibranium water, dude. It doesn't have to make sense.
It's got to be vibranium water.
It doesn't have to make sense.
Okay,
it's vibranium water.
Let's just okay. So
now
back
we kind of cracked the egg.
So
you want to go back to Riri?
Well, yeah, because let's just get her character out of the way because the movie definitely did that over and over.
And I want to apologize because I might have been wrong earlier when I said Shuri was the worst thing in this movie.
No, Riri is 100%. Now, see,
like
she's
close. Like I think it's close to a tie.
I tie between Riri and Namor being the worst thing of these movies.
See, I disagree. Namor wasn't horrible.
Sorry, Namor.
Okay. Well, you cracked that egg. Let's go ahead and have that conversation.
No.
So many people have talked about that name. Let's just do the name thing real quick.
Okay. I don't care about that egg. I actually am fine with it.
No, but the in-movie explanation of why they say it that way is fucking dumb.
Well, I mean, like language-wise, it makes sense.
No, it doesn't. I know Spanish. No, it doesn't. You wouldn't leave the O out. You'd say no amor, which means no love, not namor. You don't blend it together like that. That's not how it works in Spanish.
No, but I think it's the fact that they don't speak Spanish. They heard Spanish.
They speak Aztec, which is which blends with Spanish.
Well, actually,
and he flat out says no amor, which is Spanish. So it's not even Aztec when he says it. He says it in Spanish. He says, "I had no more love, no amor. That's why my name is Namor." It does not make fucking sense. I know Spanish. That's not how it works.
No, that's how it works there. Also, that was several hundred years ago.
So I hated that. I hated that explanation. I know a lot of people. I get that they were trying to make it Spanish sounding because they didn't want to call him Namor, but they could have just called him Namor. They didn't have to have that stupid fucking they could have called him Namor for all they wanted to. They could have just called him that because that's just how their accent works when they say it. They did not have to come up with that stupid fucking explanation that makes
his entire backstory was stupid. Well, not the
really.
entire backstory. The vengeance story was stupid. The all surface world people must die because my mom died?
No, that's not why all surface world
then
people
why did all the surface world people need to die?
Because the only surface world people they knew was conquistadors, and those people all tried to murder his entire fucking populace. So in his world, everybody outside bad, everybody inside good.
The conquistadors
and he wanted to kill everybody outside.
The only thing the conquistadors did was wipe out the island that his mom came from in the first place. That's it. That's all it was. Because remember,
first of all, don't downplay that. That's a lot. No, and we know from a historical fact, conquistadors did way worse than that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not downplaying what they did, but what I'm playing at is it had zero. Like he got mad at a place being destroyed that he had never heard of except from his mother. Like that's it. It's like had they showed up on a day when the conquistadors weren't there, like doing anything, like they were off somewhere else. They would have no fucking clue any of that happened. They'd have buried their mom or buried his mom and just been on their merry way back in the water and nothing would have mattered. But instead, he decided to wait a few hundred years more when things are just slightly knocking on his door, barely, if at all. And then he's like, oh, the whole surface world must die. Why? I was like, because a place that your mom hadn't lived in for several hundred years was being burned down? Is like that's the other thought. Is like because there's no sense of time. He's 500 plus years old, and they just kind of breeze right over that because he's like semi immortal, or at least very slow aging, and a mutant. Which fine, we have mutants now. That's cool.
Nope. Not the same.
He's a mutant.
There was a lowercase m, not a capital M, though.
Well, we already have a mutant in this universe, so it is what it is.
What mutant do we have in this universe?
Miss Marvel.
No, she's what's the other thing?
No, she's a mutant in this universe. She's a mutant. That was plainly stated.
Oh yeah, at the end when they played the
Yeah.
music. Yeah.
Well, they also said it's like you're mutated.
Yeah, well, mutated. He's mutated too. That's not the capital M like X-Men mutants. That's just his blood was mutated.
Well, yeah. I mean, how far do you want it to go? I mean, like his DNA. It's not his DNA was rewritten. Like it's what it is.
Yeah, but X-Men mutants were born with a DNA strand like that.
Yeah, so
his DNA strand was changed.
When?
With the mother, like when she was pregnant.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just he was born a mutant.
But he wasn't. Oh my! She was pregnant. She got that inoculation or whatever the fuck it was. That changed his DNA.
They all drank. They drank their not heart shaped herb.
Yeah,
stuff.
That's not the same thing as he was created with a mutant gene. His genes were mutated after he was created.
Maybe, who knows? Your DNA is constantly being rewritten if we're going with real science here.
I'm gonna rewrite your.
We're all mutants by our own environment as it is. Well, no,
I'm saying he is a mutant, but he's not the mutant.
Okay, so here's the other problem here. You have an entire civilization underwater of God knows how many people, when we only know that like roughly 12 people were in the original run of people who got mutated by that underwater seaweed or whatever. Where
did all those people come from?
Apparently they made more and just never talked about it. Like they mutated and killed. They're all water zombies is what they are. They all died and came back as water zombies. It's like that's the weirdest fuck. Well, I mean, in theory, whenever the Black Panthers. So realistically, they're all just a race of wet panthers. Wait, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, no. Well, speaking of a theory real quick, because we're talking that general area, Phil brought up one. You haven't heard it yet because you said you didn't listen to it. But he brought up one when him and Bobby were talking about it that I thought was pretty cool, because he said they don't talk about it in the movie, but they could have.
Yeah.
So the Namor and his people in this one are not Atlanteans. They're from the Yucatan Peninsula area.
Yeah.
And vibranium came down from meteorites that crashed into Earth. That's how Wakanda got their powers. That's how this place got their powers. And he said the cool thing that it implies is the meteorite with the vibranium hit the Yucatan Peninsula. That's also where scientists believe that the meteorite that struck and took out the dinosaurs hit. So it kind of like,
of course,
in universe.
Phil went with a dinosaur plot.
Yeah, but in universe, it kind of puts those two together. The vibranium meteorite that created these people is the same one that took out dinosaurs, and I thought that was pretty cool. Like when he said that, I was like, oh no shit, that's pretty cool.
So the way that I will accept that is that it's also the way the Savage Lands get created, and that's why we have dinosaurs and everything still in the Savage Lands underground.
That's in the Antarctic though.
Could still be there's Antarctic vibranium in the comics, right?
Well, what I'm saying is the Savage Lands were created because they were far enough away from the meteorite that it didn't.
Well, I'm saying that they could, because now we know more vibranium asteroids hit Earth or meteors, whatever. They could easily use that too. Because
that's what I'm saying. That's going to be the big MacGuffin that allows them to do a lot of crazy shit in the MCU, is because now that they're in the movies telling you that there's vibranium hitting in other pockets, they can now start doing a bunch of crazy shit. I'm
slightly annoyed that vibranium is kind of filling in for Terrigen crystals.
Yeah.
Because they already did that with Inhumans and in the SHIELD universe. It's like,
they are ignoring the fuck out of that in Humans, because that's the word I was looking for. That's technically what Miss Marvel is.
She was an Inhuman and eventually sort of mutated. Why does Facebook is doing some weird shit right now?
No, Inhumans are created mutants. Mutants are born mutants.
Well, the original Inhumans are created by the Kree, and then it goes from there with the Terrigen Mist, and then there's some crossover. Depending on which
that's the word I was looking for was Inhumans, but in the show they did just make her a flat out mutant. They just ignored the Inhuman part of it.
Okay, so for me, as I wrote about Namor, N.Y.A.
You're still saying it wrong. They already fucked it up, and you're making it worse.
I can't get it way out there. Okay, so I'm fine with them reworking his origin and reworking the New Atlantis and stuff like that to tie it together with Wakanda in the way they did. I'm fine with that. What I didn't like was his portrayal, like, because he and I don't know enough about Namor in the comics or anything. I know he's kind of an anti-hero, but generally on the side of good. Like,
Nope, he's back and forth constantly in the comics.
well, that's what I'm saying.
At the end of the day, he doesn't matter good or bad as long as it doesn't affect his people. If he thinks,
he's
he
Black
even
Adam.
thinks it slightly affects his people,
he's basically Black. He's basically Black Adam.
Yep. Well, technically it's the other way around. Black Adam's basically him.
I'm making the reference because the Black Adam movie is still in the theater right now.
Yeah, so, I got you. But what I'm saying is Namor's been around a lot longer than Black Adam.
But unlike, well, in a way, of course, also similar to Aquaman. Yes, I know he came first. But what I'm saying is, like, most of the time, Aquaman is portrayed as a good guy. Rarely a bad guy. Mostly just on the side of his people. You know, he's I'm here. We're good. But the way that, and this is the way I say it, like, this version of Namor was like a fucking cartel leader. Like, he was like, and because of how they did a whole lot of things playing into the South American / Hispanic /
it's actually
Mexican
Central
thing.
American.
I'm just saying, playing into this, like, there was a lot going on there, especially with like the cool, calm, like, welcome to my home. And then at the worst, like, some random bad word that he didn't like or something was referred to, I'm going to fucking kill you and everyone in your bloodline. Like, that's like, in a lot of modern portrayals, especially of cartel heads, like going even into like Ozark was exactly that way. Like that head of that cartel, like, super great, always good about what you can do for me, but like super gracious until it was time to murder anyone and everyone you've ever known. And it could be at the turn of a phrase. It could be the wind blew the wrong way. He smelled some shit. Something. And like, to me, like, and maybe I'm just wrong in this assumption, just not knowing the comics well enough, is that Namor, while was more on the noble but would do what was necessary side.
No.
Like, was he always just a violent maniac who would just calm
look
sometimes?
at, like, one of his first big appearances when they brought him back in the Fantastic Four was he was gonna fucking drown out all of Manhattan and destroy it because of fucking littering or some shit.
Yeah,
and it's fucking crazy.
And on a broad scale, that's fine. But did he literally go like, "Hey, you guys could maybe take care of some of this trash," and then just suddenly, "I'm gonna kill everyone"? Like, it's a little like but I guess the problem.
And then he had a whole thing for Sue Richards when he saw her.
I know there
instantly
was that.
fell in love, and then he was going to kill the entire Fantastic Four off just so she could be with him. So yes, he's always been that way. He's a totalitarian. That's what his
I guess in that part it's fine, but I guess in this portrayal, because of the new nationality, as it were, it does come off in a modern sense as just some kind of crazy cartel leader. And
I think that's you making the connection because he is Hispanic and most cartel leaders are Hispanic. I think that's you making that connection, but that's a character thing.
But
that's when Namor was Atlantean, he was the same thing.
So, and if they had just made him Atlantis as a neutral, non-related,
but they didn't want to do that because of
I think they were trying to steer clear. They were steering away from Aquaman. That's exactly what they did. Yeah. However, I did point out in one of our podcasts, I think it was the Wakanda Forever But Not For You podcast, which, by the way, I'm going to get into that ever so slightly, but somebody brought this up the other day. There are
somebody like one of us brought it up.
No. Somebody... Other shows I watch. Yeah, if you think about it too hard, or actually not even that deeply, Wakanda is known,
so to speak.
Yeah. Wakanda in this movie was specifically called the most powerful country in the world. That definitely doesn't want anybody to come in and has a wall that protects them from the outside. And you had a Hispanic invader come in from the water to invade their country against their will. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Because that's the way this movie was designed, and you can take that however you want without me implying anything implicitly. But that is a kind of oddly specific thing that I don't know that Ryan Coogler did on purpose, but that's how it actually came out. And it's fucking weird. And I mentioned... Let's see. What other country has talked about building a wall to protect from Hispanic people?
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
I'm not getting the fuck out of here, dude. Think about this. Hold on. And what else happened in this movie? What country decided to go to war What
That's such a fucking leap to try
But
to
it's
make
not
it.
a leap.
No.
No,
How
it's
about
not.
we go with more historical fact stuff? How about the Hispanic people going into the heart of Africa to steal out slaves and murder people? That actually did happen in the real world too, long
I was
before
told only white
Trump
people
and
did
his
that.
fucking wall. Actually, white people did not do that because they were afraid to go into Africa. They always stopped on the coastline.
Because they didn't
So
have
no,
to.
thank you.
They didn't
No,
have
they
to.
were afraid to go to.
But they
It
didn't
was
have
literally
to.
they literally. You go back and look at maps, it wasn't until like the very late 1800s or the very beginning of the 1900s that any of Central Africa was even mapped out because people would not go in there. They
Because they
literally
also
thought
didn't
magic
have
monsters
to.
were going to kill you.
But
They
also,
really thought there was magical
if
monsters in there waiting
if
to
someone
murder
who
you.
lives there is already capturing people for
Yes,
you
yes,
don't have to
yes.
go in to
Yes,
do
yes,
that.
yes, yes. I
But
understand all
but
that.
if
But
you
the Spanish did do that. They
Yes.
did raid into Africa and stuff. It's been proven over and over and over because of
Yes.
stuff that's been found in Africa.
But in this
So-
movie, as we're talking about it, you had a Hispanic hero invade the most powerful country in the world by going around their border wall and crossing a river to come in and invade. Like, those are the details of this movie. And
Yeah, but in this
there's
world,
too many
Trump and his
parallels.
walls don't exist.
But
That's a stretch, man.
but there's
That's
too
much.
many parallels to reality. And then they made the US government the bad guy.
I will
And you know they did that.
1000%. I will 1000% bet you my life that the director of Black Panther was not trying to make a political statement about the Trump wall.
That's my problem, is that they weren't trying to, but this is the thing that they put out. Like, you can obviously feel that, like, that wasn't where they were going, but that's what happened. Like, that's the biggest problem.
People always trying to make political connections and shit. It
Dude,
was just
they
a movie.
literally made the US government to be the bad guy in this movie.
The U.S. government's always the fucking bad guy unless it's a U.S. government movie.
Exactly. But okay, so
because we're the world power, who are they going to make the bad guy? Some little dink country that can't do shit to them in the real world?
But like that was the whole point in this movie. They just said, US bad guy, we're gonna go in, we're gonna steal whatever the fuck we want. Who cares? We don't care if we kill everybody to get what we want.
And they didn't say the whole U.S. government. They said the CIA specifically,
which was bad.
Well, which we've said in our own movies that the CIA is bad. Go back and watch a Mission Impossible movie.
Yes, I know that, but they also, what was it, the Secretary of State who was there at the new Secretary of State was also there, basically begging Wakanda, hey, you didn't hold up your end of your shit, so we want your shit or else. And then they laid the smackdown by bringing in all the soldiers who raided the Wakandan outreach building.
That was the French, not us.
But it was both. That was the problem.
No, it wasn't. It was the French.
No, the soldiers were the French. But if you notice,
there's one thing I didn't understand. Watch the movie again. If you look at the placards, all of them make sense except for the U.S. one.
Yeah.
It said estate, so I thought they were trying to do it in Spanish, which would be Estados Unidos.
Yes.
But then whatever the second fucking word was nothing. It was like pure gibberish.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
what
it was
they did
written
there.
backwards. I don't know what the fuck that was about. Like France.
I don't know.
France.
I also don't know what country they were holding that in.
Yeah.
Like that was the other thing, because it's supposed to be, maybe it's supposed to be Geneva, because UN, but like it wasn't like the UN building that we saw. But either way, like, so the two in France basically they just made that whole France part disappear. They're just like, oh, forget about the fact France did that. The US is now currently the problem because of Riri. Like, and it was like, okay, France was taking the slightly more direct route by going after Wakanda directly, which it's France. Okay. And then they just went, okay, US is also bad because of all this. But like the dumb part about it in this story, okay, so they bought the vibranium detector from apparently Riri's professor or somebody involved, that she built it to show off for.
I don't remember her buying it. I thought they just like hacked her computer or something.
No, they took the actual thing. So basically she built it to prove a point, which that was her whole thing. She's big-headed and kind of a dick.
Well, that's how most scientists are. I want to do it just because I
that's
can.
But that's how she is in the comics apparently too. Like she's.
But think about Oppenheimer. What is I am the destroyer of worlds. Like he built the nuclear bomb knowing it was going to be a horrible thing, but he wanted to build it just so he could prove that he could do that.
I think there was more involved in that, but either way, there.
But I'm just saying that was the whole point.
But with this case, she built it to prove she could, but then there was no proof it worked. She actually didn't know it worked. Remember, they said, and she's like, "Oh, that worked." You know, she didn't know it would actually work because they had no vibranium to detect.
She had the concept and just built it.
And so she built the physical thing. The U.S. her professor more or less sold it to the U.S. government when they found out about it, and then
I don't remember that part.
It was in there, but it wasn't in there. That was the thing. It was like they kind of.
I thought it was more they just kind of got into her computer and then found out who she was and where she was and went there and took it.
Also, why the part that really was stupid. So Namor comes to Wakanda to say, "Look, you want to stay secret. We want to stay secret. We don't want to give up vibranium. You don't want to give up vibranium. Go find who built this thing. It was some scientist in America. Go." And they're like, okay. And like, it came down to Shuri and wow, I just totally blanked. Okoye, because I remember the other one, Io, but I couldn't remember Okoye. Basically decided to go on their own to go find Riri, and they do because they called their favorite colonizer. Which the way they let's see,
tying him to Madam Hydra was stupid, by the way.
I'm okay with that idea because now we know that she's currently the head of the CIA, which is how she's putting together the Thunderbolts. But like,
I don't know if that's comic accurate, but I don't think like that.
No, it's not. I'm pretty sure it's not in any way, shape, or form. But like, I don't like how they just they shoehorned him in when they really didn't need to. Like, because they could have just had anybody. I mean, I like Martin Freeman, but like. They basically made him kind of a comic relief. He didn't do anything but just talk on the phone in this movie. That's all he did. He just talked on the phone. He didn't have an action sequence. He wasn't involved with anything. Yeah, well, yeah, and then he talked on the phone, and then he talked with them in the woods when they knew.
Hey, look, at my age, I'm telling you, jogging is an action sequence.
I get you. All right, so we need to speed through this because you only have a little while to go.
Yeah, we're good, man. I don't care. We can record this, pause it, and come back and record some more again later, and you can edit it however you want to. We'll do.
Well, I've got more to do later. That's why we can't come back to it.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not gonna happen today because we got the baseball game.
So
I mean, we.
So either way, I think that Riri didn't need to be in it because the machine was really what mattered. And then they had the beef with the U.S. government, which they could have
Easter egged her. That's how they should have handled her as an Easter egg.
Yeah, they could have done. They could have dropped her in later as the person who
just her name.
It.
Yeah. Just they stole the machine, and then at the end of the movie, this was made by Riri so and so.
If we're gonna go with what ifs, they could have done the Ironheart series first and into how she came up, and then she started working on her
I hope
Iron
they
Man
fix
armor.
the graphics on that Ironheart, man, because her fucking armor looked trash, dude. Like the very first Iron Man movie looked better in his armor than
because it was real. You know, nothing trash. She was wearing was real. Like I liked the garage built one, but I didn't like the Wakandan built one. But I liked that they nerfed her and said, nope, you can't have that. And so she's got to go home and basically build a new one anyways, which if I recall correctly, Namor probably stole because they cleaned up the scene after they got them, which I was getting at a minute ago. So after they basically avoid the FBI, they kill off some cops.
CIA.
No, it was FBI.
Oh, the FBI too? God damn, they're
the
just throwing all
the
that
FBI
out
was the one who went after them at MIT.
Okay.
And then she kills a bunch of them.
Do you know why? Do you know why it had to be FBI?
Because it can't be CIA.
Do you know why? American soil.
Yeah.
CIA is not allowed to operate on American soil.
Yeah, even though they definitely were.
They definitely do.
They definitely
not even
do.
More in real life. They definitely do. Ask Snowden. They definitely work on American soil.
Exactly. So, and their whole podcast just got taken down from that one name. Anyways, so, but the whole point is that she kills some people, and they just laugh it off. Because she crashed that drone on top of the cops on the bridge.
Yep.
And they totally died. We're not even going to pretend that she didn't kill those people. But I like that she's smart and all that kind of stuff, but she didn't need to be in this movie. We already had a smart, young, black superhero. We're good. Who was into the sciences and built armor. Was like, we're good. We have this exact character already. We didn't need her in here. Period. But then why did Namor send people to go get her anyways when he had just sent Wakanda to go get her? That made no sense. It's like, why?
Because he didn't trust them. He didn't trust them.
That means he was following them to begin with. He's already tracking them somehow. And then...
No, they said by the vibranium, right? Because vibranium, they can pick up the radiation.
Then they have vibranium detectors already.
Well, maybe they have something from like
In
building with their
theory,
vibranium.
in theory, they have vibranium detectors because they
Mhm.
use vibranium. Normal people
Mhm.
should not because they don't have vibranium.
That's what the machine was that they were
Yeah.
trying to get. Yeah.
So if they already knew when and where and who, because they have apparently all this access and knowledge and ability to ride orcas wherever the fuck they want.
Mhm.
Well, by the way, I loved orcas being rid into Central Africa. That was impressive. Or even you know, humpback whales into whatever river that is that next to MIT. I don't even know.
It's in Boston, so it'd be off the harbor, dude.
c-
It's the Atlantic Ocean.
I don't know if that was ocean or if that was river right there, but I don't know that geographically. I can't talk. But either way,
Mhm.
the whole point is the movie ends right then and there, except for Wakanda going to battle because they took Shuri. Um,
Mhm.
and like, and when it eventually comes down to the ultimate battles of this movie, so when they invade Wakanda proper, after they steal back Shuri by including Nakia, which did you
Mhm.
expect Nakia to be in this movie initially? Or did you think she was going
No,
to be out of it? And
I
by
didn't expect her to be in it, and I'm not sure I'm okay with how they handled her in it. Like,
I'm okay with how they handled her, except for the fact that like she was basically a Mary Sue in this. Like she never fucked up. She went into every battle essentially, and like she had everything she needed from the get go.
but
And
that's
oh,
not really making her a Mary Sue because they showed her to do that. Remember, we just had that conversation earlier about her. You said she
well,
was a
she was a
super spy. She was
spy,
able to
yeah,
sneak in and da.
but she
So she'd
retired.
be set for shit like
But the
this.
thing is, okay, so she retired to Haiti essentially. Well,
Hmm.
now we know why. You know,
Hmm.
by the end of this movie, let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. T'Challa Jr. exists now,
Hmm.
which I'm fine with that because their relationship was established, and the
Hmm.
idea that basically she was pregnant prior to the snap,
Hmm.
and knowing that she went to there to hide the kid to keep him away from all prying eyes and any pressure of the throne because she was essentially done with Wakanda. Like she's just like,
Hmm.
look, we're gonna retire here in secret, and we're gonna do what we got to do. And then the queen comes in and says, hey, look, Shuri's gone, and along with the girl that we need to, fix this vibranium problem. Can you go get them? And they're like,
Which leads me to a huge plot hole that they put into the dialogue,
okay,
and that's the mom and the grandson.
okay,
Because Shuri asks her if mom had ever got to meet him, and she said yes.
yeah, and
So
she
the
did.
mom, so the mom, who is very old school and very traditional Wakandan, knew that the grandson, the rightful heir to the throne, was alive and in existence
Yeah,
and left it out. Didn't tell anybody. That goes directly against her character. If she had known
well,
that, she would have said, T'Challa died, here's his son. This is how it works in Wakanda. We follow tradition. Tradition states he's dead, his son takes over. That's how it
except
goes.
except if T'Challa said that she couldn't because
No, no, that doesn't, dude.
he was
I don't know which
king.
Wakanda movies. I don't know which Wakanda movies you're fucking watching, but they don't give a shit what people say. Tradition is tradition, and with him being dead, it wouldn't matter what he had told her to not to do while he was alive. As soon as he was dead, the
unless
tradition kicks in that
unless
that
it
son
was
sits that
unless it
throne.
was his dying wish.
No, come on, now you're stretching.
Well,
No,
actually, hold on. If it only applies if they were married,
no, because it's still his son.
she's not the
That's not,
queen.
dude.
She
That's
Nakia
does not
was
matter.
not
It's his
no
son.
Nakia was not the queen,
Bloodline matters. It does not matter what his marriage relationship was with that
except
woman.
that they can go by trial by combat, which they do at the end of the movie. See, here's the problem. So when in the 5 years of the blip, she took back over as the queen regent
Hmm.
because there was no one else. So him being blipped away, they should have done a new trial by combat, which they did not do. She just took over because half their people were gone. So she's
Hmm.
back as queen. Shuri's gone. So there's no line of succession with the exception of his now infant child, which she knows
Which she
about.
knows of, which
However,
he would have been talked about. She still would have stayed king regent until he was old enough to do the trial by combat or
so
whatever the hell they wanted to do at
here's
that point.
here's the other thing. We don't know that she knew about that kid the entire time or only knew about him in this visit to we didn't see her entire visit to Haiti or the whole conversation, because remember, Nakia now has a special suit, an underwater submarine bike, and all this other stuff. It's like, you think she just had that, or the queen gave her that shit while she was there? Like, it's entirely possible.
I'm gonna say the Black Panther gave it to her.
I'm gonna say that in this case, because they had to track down Nakia, like, supposedly.
But Chadwick knew where she was off screen before he passed away.
That she was there. So,
and he would have been slipping her that shit.
But also the fact that they keep track on everybody. It doesn't matter. It's like, even if you think you're out, you're not out. But you're
still missing my point. By bloodline, he would have been the king, even if he's too young to do trial by combat.
Would he have taken over?
Right then, as soon as T'Challa died, that's how bloodlines work.
Yeah,
that's literally how it works in the real world. That's definitely how they've shown you it works in there.
And yet,
his dad died; he was immediately the king.
And yet, whenever
he was
dead for 5 years. He was dead for 5 years, and the queen took over. So why, if she
queen regent? Because there was no bloodline to move it through. So she becomes queen.
I think they have it fine, because she literally says it was our wishes that he grow up away from the throne, because there was no intention for that kid to ever get involved with Wakanda.
So she only did it because it was Chadwick's wishes? It was T'Challa's wishes?
Yeah.
Then how come she didn't give vibranium to the world? Because that was his wish too. Not only was it his wish, it was his direct command, and she ignored it.
He also didn't do that
because why did she ignore it? Because traditionally Wakanda does not share stuff with the outside world.
He didn't do it either while he was alive.
He was giving stuff out. He was letting people in. He brought the CIA into the fucking Wakanda. He was absolutely breaking all the traditional rules of Wakanda.
Yeah, but in between Endgame and Black Panther 1, he didn't give the world vibranium. They made outreach centers in different places across the world, but they weren't handing out vibranium to anybody.
Captain America had vibranium.
Yeah, that was done in the 40s.
No.
Yes.
No, when he gave him the shields at the end of Endgame. They built them shields on his arms, remember?
Yeah, you mean when he was in the service
Bucky's
of Wakanda?
Bucky's arms were vibranium.
Yeah, and then they took that back.
He gave it back.
Oh, did he? Because I distinctly remember it being disabled and removed from his arm.
I don't remember that part.
I remember,
but my point is, he was sharing it with people. He was sharing with people outside of Wakanda.
Yeah, he wasn't sharing with governments. He was sharing with individuals.
Captain America.
Individuals.
Captain America is
either way. It doesn't matter. The point is, the movie.
What I'm saying is that's why
the movie literally told you, but it's not a plot hole. The movie told you why.
It is a plot hole.
That's your reasoning,
two
not
different
theirs.
Things. No. She states two different things and reacts two different ways to the same thought process. She doesn't want to give out vibranium because traditionally Wakanda does not share it. She doesn't put the grandson on the throne because it was his wishes. That's against tradition. Tradition states he's the king. You can't say I follow tradition for this, but I don't follow tradition for that. That's not how that works.
But we also
it definitely goes against her character.
We also don't know where the wishes apply if there's no marriage.
Marriage doesn't matter. Okay, again,
because his parents were married.
If I'm the king, nope. Look at history. Just factual history.
I don't care about real history. I talk about in this universe. Now we're wasting
time
this universe,
having a dumb argument. It's a bloodline. But that's what I'm saying. It's not a dumb argument. It's legitimate.
It's only a bloodline because they say it is. But then the bloodline was broken and they never reassigned a new king.
But the bloodline wasn't broken.
It was when they were dead. There was no bloodline when everyone was snapped, and they did not change anything. They didn't do trial by combat. But bloodlines don't matter because the throne and the Panther are settled by trial by combat. When there is no Panther, you can assign it to whoever you want.
The throne is by blood. The Panther is by combat.
It's both. That's why Killmonger was king, not just Black Panther. Because they killed the king, they gave him his power, and they gave him his throne. The queen was out, and he determined who was going to be in his court and who his army was going to do. Whoever won.
I don't know. To me, that's very conflicting things.
Because the only time
it doesn't make sense.
Because the only time that they had a separate Panther and king was whenever T'Challa his dad was still alive and still the king, and he was Black Panther in Civil War. The only time it changed was after his dad died, and then he was brought in in court, and he had to do his trial by combat to
Become king.
become king and Panther
But
officially.
he was already Panther.
Until he wasn't.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, so you can be the Black
But
Panther
that's
and
because
not
there
be
was
the
a
king.
living king. There was no living king while he was snapped, which means they should have done trial by combat to determine a new king and a new semi-Panther, because obviously they had no power to do it. But they didn't. They just left everything as it was in stasis without any hope that there was ever going to be a new king.
Those are holes to me.
Those are
you're
all
just pointing
holes.
out So you're
So
not
your hole
negating
doesn't
my
trump-
argument.
So your
You're
hole
not
doesn't
negating my
trump
argument.
the
You're
whole.
just saying there's also other holes.
Yeah.
So you've just made Swiss cheese out of this. I just pointed out one hole. You made
the
Swiss
other
cheese
holes, if tradition and other holes don't matter, then this one absolutely does not matter. Especially in this movie where they said it doesn't matter.
But in this movie, she specifically said tradition does matter.
And
That's
then
what I'm
they-
saying.
and then they
She
went
said one thing and
against
then
all
acted a
tradition.
different way. That's what I'm saying. Is
Well,
her character specifically in this movie spouted about tradition, and then also in this same movie they said she negated tradition.
Except that if the queen really wanted to go against tradition, she would have shut down every outreach center and not just left them out there, which she did not do. And she had more than a year of running the country again after he died to do that. She did not do that. It was only when somebody tried to take vibranium by force, she shut it all down.
Well, she was shutting it down while that was happening, not because that thing happened. Because remember, she was in there telling them, "No, we're not giving you vibranium." At the same time, France was trying to steal the vibranium.
Exactly. So the reason
So
she said
she was
no,
telling them no to begin with.
She said no because somebody was trying to steal it, and they already said that wasn't the first incursion. That was just the one they caught, and they brought in front of everybody. That's the thing. It's like, so they literally, it's like it had been happening. But if it was a big problem, they would have shut it down. But if you shut it down, then you don't know who's coming in to steal your shit.
Gotcha.
So they literally set the trap, like we saw them do. They brought it in front of the UN and said, "Fuck y'all," and you're wanting vibranium. But prior to that, we don't know because we had a huge gap in T'Challa's reign. So like we don't know how long it was from the moment Black Panther ended to Endgame when everybody or Infinity War. So like everything got fucked after that. Fuck your governing, because half their country was gone. Their entire ruling family was gone with the exception of a queen.
Well, that was a plot hole in Infinity War because statistically speaking, their whole country could have still been there. And when he snapped his fingers, it didn't have to be half his country. It's half the populace.
Yeah.
So if there's 10,000 people in the whole world, only 5,000 have to disappear. They could be 5,000 from one fucking continent. It doesn't have to be from any other ones.
Well, we saw, excuse me, we saw plenty of people from Wakanda dusting.
Yeah, we saw them dropping like flies, but that's what I'm saying.
So in this case, like, yeah, there are plot holes, but obviously when you have,
I didn't say it was a deal breaker, but it is a plot hole.
But when we have a script that had to be completely rewritten almost from scratch due to what they had to change, yeah, we're gonna end up with huge plot holes because I don't think T'Challa Jr. was meant to even be a plot point in any way, shape, or form.
I haven't read the original one, but it would be surprising to me if he wasn't part of it. Like maybe at the end he was gonna bring her back and say, "Look, this is this is my son that I've had with her," and then they got married at the end of this one. However they were gonna.
It would have had to have been the only way that plays out is if they had a build up to why generations would matter. And I think with the Namor story, with everything going on with him basically quote unquote avenging his mom. And by the way, the first major villain that was introduced that we didn't just straight up kill in the same movie. I mean, yeah, like they actually did that. And so credit where credit is due. They left someone important to stay in the world.
Well, they have to because he's also a good guy. That's the problem. Is none of the other guys they killed off were good guys. They were just straight up bad guys.
I think Zemo is one of the only other ones that's still out there.
Yeah, and he's only presented as a kind of good guy in the movies. In the comics, he's a straight up bad guy. There's no redemption of Zemo in the comics.
I don't know that he was ever technically a good guy. He's just a guy out for his own.
Yeah, well, they gave him sympathetic reasons to be a bad guy.
Well, in the comics, he was just
he was just a Nazi scientist.
Yeah,
I mean,
They tried to get you to sympathize with Namor with the whole death of his mom. And frankly, I don't think the death of his mom even needed to matter in this. Like, he could have just talked about the fact that his mom died. Because she died several hundred years ago in time in the actual
But I think what
timeline.
he's saying is they were like
Like,
that back then,
yeah.
and we've just gotten progressively worse. I think he's
Except
saying
that,
that Earth Dwellers were like that, and now they're
well,
worse now.
see, my only thing about it is like, I get that as his reasoning for wanting to be isolationist in a very similar
Mhm.
way to Wakanda. Except Wakanda did it as a not just self-preservation, but selfish reasons. Like,
Mhm.
we want all of this for us. Fuck y'all. Which
Mhm.
that was the whole point of Black Panther 1, which I argue is a much better movie. But
I'd go the other
it
direction.
it didn't have the issues that this one had. That's the
I
thing.
think this is still better than Black Panther 1.
I don't like, because
Mm.
first of all, you already said earlier that Shuri was essentially the worst thing in this movie, which Shuri
Yeah,
was
well,
one
her
of the.
becoming Black Panther is the worst thing in this movie.
But
I don't think she should have ever had that mantle on. Like, I hated.
I
She had a character change. She went, and her character change did not make sense. There was no build to it. She was just, fuck this, I don't want it. One sad story, boom. Okay, I'll be that person, and now I'm all of a sudden a total badass. No,
well,
thank you.
it makes sense. Well, the total badass part is only implied by assuming she has any battle training, which she does because she fought in the first movie and she fought in
Mm-hmm.
Infinity War. And
Mm-hmm.
in Endgame, so she has battle training. She just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
fight like they do. She just has her own way to fight. Now, mind you, Letitia Wright is still kind of a twig, so she's less imposing in a battle setting unless she's
Mm-hmm.
using her technology, which she did both of.
But
But
even with technology, look at Black Panther was getting his ass handed to him with that technology, and he's a big, strong, muscular, works out
well,
military person.
he got his
This
ass
little
handed to him
this
by
skinny, basement
yeah,
dweller super nerd, which is what she is. That's not a negative. I'm a nerd too,
yeah.
so everybody relax.
Well,
But that's what she is. She doesn't work out. Even if she has military training, it doesn't mean she's a military
but
person. Like, I
she
took martial
also
arts as a kid. I'm not going to go out and fucking fight somebody in a martial arts combat now just because I
yeah.
used to be able to do it.
Well,
That's
look at
not
it.
the same
Well,
thing.
look at it this way: she didn't fight anymore physically until she had fought him intelligently. Because if she didn't know how to
Argue that.
well, the first thing she did was weaken his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Because other than that, she was fighting goons, which was basically
Mm-hmm.
just knocking them off the side of their boat. Which,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, the weird part about that fight that I thought was that they used the Dora Milaje as literally repellent. Because I mean, like, they're literally rappelling down the side of the boat to fight off
Mm-hmm.
the Talakanil, and they had all of the um
M'Baku's
all of
people
M'Baku's guys just holding them
just
up
holding ropes.
until they were all killed except for him,
Mm-hmm.
supposedly, because we don't know how many people technically died on that boat. We
Mm-hmm.
just know there was like 4 people left whenever they got them to stop. But
No, sorry, go ahead.
well, the other dumb thing I thought about this was like, so when they came up with the idea to fight Namor, they discovered
Mm-hmm.
that basically being in and near water was not the source of his power, but his power boost.
How it replenishes,
Yeah,
boost.
his
Yeah.
boost. So like in the water, he's essentially unstoppable. Outside
Mm-hmm.
of water, he's got to be near water and staying remotely wet. Um,
As he uses his power, it
and
drains.
and
He's like a
uses,
battery, and he has to
as he
recharge.
dries off, basically you have to
Mm-hmm.
hop back in the water to replenish. And like, he'd probably be unstoppable in the rain, like
Mm-hmm.
above water. Which there's also, I heard a really dumb argument about that, going back to the racist thing. It's like, oh, the
Nope,
Hispanic,
nope, we're not
but
having that one. We're not having that one.
it's once again, if the sad part is, if you think about it, it's bad if you think about it. But
It's not bad if you think about it. It's bad if you stretch and try to say it out loud. It's
no,
no.
because I'll link a video. Either way,
Mm-hmm.
but the whole point
Yeah,
is,
feel
she
free to
fought
send
him.
them to listen to that.
She
idiot
fought
talk
him.
about
She
it.
fought him smart before she fought him physically. She weakened him before attempting to fight him. For all the good that did, he was still super fucking strong.
Mm-hmm.
But we also saw where that got them, because they both basically got to the point of death until like she outsmarted him.
She Martha'd
again.
his ass.
Yeah.
She Martha'd his ass.
Well, she also,
That was one of my biggest disappointments in that movie. Was
I
that
mean,
fight?
she was about to
Why'd
kill
you
him.
say that name? That's pretty much how it all fucking came down to at the end. I was like, God fucking damn it.
I mean,
couldn't. I mean, I get it. They couldn't figure out how to end that battle any other way of less than him killing her, because that's what was going to happen.
Even vice versa. Like, he left her.
She was done for. She was done for until she made him have his little change of heart by saying Martha bullshit. Like, that was it. Like, he would have killed her.
She said basically, either I can kill you here and then we're going to continue this war without you and your people are going to die, or you can yield and we're just going to call it even. and basically be like, look, we can keep each other's secrets and just be fucking done with this, which was the whole point of the movie, which was it's like all she did was get in line with the plot of the movie, which like we don't have to fight. The only reason we're fighting is because you wanted to keep your secret, and we said, what? That's literally what it came down to. Was like they didn't even say no.
It was a pissing contest. It was literally just a pissing contest.
It was a pissing contest, but the problem is it was a skinny little girl versus super strong Hulk dude, and that's the only reason why it looked dumb when they came to that conclusion. But she had him beat.
I did like how they did the wings. I thought that was going to be stupid.
Oh yeah, no, the wings.
I think they handled
great.
that good. I think they handled that good.
Yeah, no, I think, and like the fact that she actually wounded him there, she actually cut off part of
took away his ability to fly.
at least with one leg. I don't know if you can't fly without him. But
for short term, I don't know if it grows back or whatever.
But like the fact that she beat him using the thrusters from the jet, which somehow were still functional, we'll just let that be. Also, how did he know where the power supply for the ship was? Like he just stabbed into the ground and happened to go right into the middle of the reactor. Okay, cool. That means he knows all about it. And the thing is, like, their
vibranium.
Their society, which by the way, that was a vibranium tip spear, so it makes sense that it would penetrate their suit. We already know that can do a thing. But the fact that she was stabbed straight through the abdomen into a rock, and then basically did the same thing everybody does when they're stabbed through, is they break off the end and then pull themselves off the thing, and she managed to jump and flip over him while wounded. And also I think one of the main reasons he even like came after them at all was the fact that N.Y.A killed that one chick who was tending to them. Like, and by the way, that would have been fixed with a single move that we know they can do. All they had to do was, and I think even Shuri tried to do this, but N.Y.A pulled her away, was insert a Kimoyo bead into the wound, and it will stabilize them until they can be healed. That's all they had to do. And this movie basically would have stopped. Like, he would have just come back and been like, hey, I told you to not, this is not how we negotiated this. And they would have been like, here's the machine. She's going to stay here with us. She's not going to build any more vibranium detectors. And they could have talked it out if not for the fact that N.Y.A shot that girl. And killed her, technically speaking.
I'm going to point out something that, like, I had to do the same thing to you. I had to yada the answer back to her, but Kara pointed this out after we stepped out of the movie.
Okay.
She's like, how come when they were fighting the blue people, that's what she kept calling them.
Yeah, they are.
Like, how come when they were fighting the blue people, they didn't just rip their fucking masks off their face? They wouldn't be able to breathe.
Yeah, I'm amazed that never happened. And
like she has literal claws on her hands. Just start scratching their little bubble mouth masks, and they'll be good to go.
Yeah. Or all they actually would have had to do right there was, and I guess in theory they're defending themselves, trying not to kill the enemy because they were trying to get them to stop.
But that would have made them have to jump back in the water and stop fighting on the land.
But what I was trying to get to here was microwaves.
Yeah.
You're talking
boil
about
the
people
water off.
just literally boil the water out of their system. Which, by the way, that whole system was stupid because all they have is a little mask on their face. They don't have like a backpack or a tank of water, and they're breathing.
Which is another thing. If that's his weakness, like he gets weaker from water, you think he would have had like a canteen of water or something just to dump on himself just in case along the way.
I think there's a reason he was mostly active at night. So he wasn't dealing with a lot of evaporation. And think about that. That's true. The only time he came out during the day was the final fight. Every other time you saw him was at night above water.
No, when he came into Wakanda, it was daytime.
Not the first time. It was in the middle of the night. But when they came out of the river to drop off the thing and talk
when he was talking to the mom and daughter. Yeah.
Now, when he came up in Haiti, he was still standing in the water or right at the beach. So that wasn't a problem. But anytime he needed to spend time on land, it was at night. Essentially.
So he knows, then that implies that he knows that water is his thing. So again, I refer back to my question. Why wouldn't he carry around like just a little pouch of it at least, just in case he needed just enough to get back to a mass of water?
You mean like those water bombs that they carry everywhere?
That's what I'm saying. Just take one of those and splash yourself with it.
We don't know that he doesn't have a magic pocket. Like if that's what
we do, because there was nothing left of the imagination in them fucking trousers.
If that's what a volleyball size thing of compressed water can do, he could easily just have literally like the size of
like a little pellet.
Tylenol. Yeah, he could have a pellet that's just there to basically.
He just has it stuck in his prison wallet for later.
Yeah, he just squeezes it real quick, and he's just like, "I'm good," and he just like water just shoots out from his
clenches,
butt.
Like clenches, like a little walnut clench. Like,
yeah, and
gross.
Yeah, I mean, but basically, like this movie, like everybody wanted. I don't think this movie turned around the MCU.
I do. I think it resuscitated. I don't think it was like I don't think we're back to Infinity War levels.
Would you say it was like a cold splash of water?
Yes, something like that. What
And
I tie it
the
more
MCU
back
is
to
blue people.
What I tie it more back to is how we were talking about the ICU thing. Is this whole time they've been just getting a little deep, 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 and they were well on their way to that flat line. And I think this is that big spike, that beep, beep, beep. Like all of a sudden the heart's beating again. So now we're building back up into something.
I think this movie is only set on its hype, and the hype was mostly due to Chadwick's passing.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, because I think say something happened, like he didn't die, but he was just out for whatever reason.
He's not gonna be in the movie.
And he's not gonna be in the movie, and this same movie came out without his death. It would not have the
Well,
hype.
the same movie couldn't come out because 3/4 of the story is based on him being dead.
This is the rules that I'm setting for it. This movie came out as it is, but he isn't dead.
So Chadwick Boseman doesn't die in real life, but they kill Black Panther in the movie.
Yeah. So this movie exists without.
I still think it would be exactly the same.
I don't think it would. I
think it would take away the emotional punch of it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's half the thing. Half the people, like the biggest hype about this movie was how they were going to handle his death. Nobody gives a shit about Namor.
That wasn't my biggest hype. That was my biggest worry. That's not. I was still gonna see it regardless.
But that's why everybody wanted to see it. Like that's the thing, because whether you wanted to hate the movie, whether you wanted to love it, whether it was everything about the MCU's future was riding on it for you, the biggest thing in your brain was, okay, how are they going to handle his death? Because they kept that shit close to the chest. I'm sure there were spoilers somewhere, but they were nuking it right and left. Because I keep an eye out for this shit, and I saw nothing until it was actual.
I don't know why you'd go out of your way for spoilers.
No, I don't go looking.
I still don't understand that.
I don't go looking for it. The channels I follow just put it out there. That's the biggest problem.
Unfollow.
Well, actually, what I did leading up to the release of the movie.
Just don't watch anything for a couple weeks before.
Well, no, because YouTube has this lovely feature where you can go hide. So if somebody posts a thing the day of movie release, you just go hide without looking at it. And it only hides that video. And then somebody else hide. And then it goes, oh, you clearly don't want to see anything about Black Panther 2. And then it stops. Was that at your house or did something fall over?
Yeah, it was the garbage can.
Well, once again, the sound coming through my headphones sounds like it's happening in my room. So I don't, and considering how often shit falls over in here, I don't know. But I think that this was not the turnaround, and it was not the Messiah of the MCU movie that everybody thought it would, and it will be for some people. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad. It wasn't top tier by any means, because like Bobby always says, we're now in the mid CU. And
which, by the way, we're gonna talk about it. Bring Bobby up. He gave this thing such a massively huge score. I was like, whoa! Like I did not think he was gonna go that high with it, but he did. He gave it like an 8.5 and said he would have gave it a 9.5 if they'd done one thing different in the movie. I was like, holy fuck!
So let's talk about the one last thing because you got to go.
M'Baku. I want to talk about that.
So that's what I was getting at. Okay,
that surprises me that Bobby gave it such a high score because of M'Baku.
Now, I like M'Baku. He's one of my favorite characters.
I love M'Baku in Black Panther. I hate M'Baku in Wakanda.
They neutered the Gorilla King in this fucking movie.
They made him fucking Thor. That's why I was so surprised that Bobby let that slide, dude. That slapsticky bullshit he was doing in this fucking movie. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And where's that badass from the first fucking movie that was gonna rip people's face off? Like it was so bad.
He was funny in the first movie. He was. But
he had some funny lines. He wasn't slapsticky. It's different.
Yes, I agree. But what happened in this movie, and that annoyed me, was you talked about how big a badass he was in the first movie, even basically almost fighting T'Challa to a standstill. Almost. This movie, he didn't win a single fight.
That's true.
He never won a single fight in this movie. Now, mind you, the Telekineal
he was fighting a foe that he
are
didn't
basically
know, so,
superhuman. However, you're talking about the man-ape, as it is. And also apparently the future king of Wakanda, since we were talking about that whole situation, the way this movie ends, he went up there to see, that's the thing. So Shuri, and this is what we talked about earlier, so bloodlines be what they are. Shuri's the only current member of, they don't have a last name, the royal family at the moment that's still alive. She's the Black Panther currently.
Well,
apparently
technically, the son's alive.
within the royal family. The kid is not technically part of the royal family right now.
Yes, he is. He's
We're not having this argument again, Ricky. Within the movie, he's
it's not an argument. You're just wrong.
He's not within the royal family because he was not in the royal family.
Bastards still count. Does not matter if they're married.
Bastard or not, the kid can't challenge for the thing, and the only living blood relative that's left that is the Black Panther currently by all their normal laws is Shuri. Shuri doesn't want to be queen. She wants to go chill in Haiti, apparently. But she still has the Black Panther stuff, as far as we know, currently. Because, so she's abdicating her responsibility as at least queen that we know of currently. And instead of showing up for her own coronation, she abdicated to M'Baku to fight for the throne. So the thing is, was he meant to initially, if nothing had changed and she didn't go to Haiti and stay there, would they have had to fight for the throne like the way they normally would do? And he would have had to basically fight a depowered Shuri with no technology, no powers for the throne and to be the new Black Panther. Because
let's say how it was. He would have killed an unpowered, technology Shuri.
He would have beat the shit out of her and made her yield.
She'd be dead.
Yeah, she'd be dead. And so basically, we now have M'Baku on the throne, unchallenged currently. And
is he king or is he just regent?
He'll be king because that's the way it goes. Because the only reason why T'Challa's family has been in charge all this time is because they were the original descendants of the original Black Panther.
That's what I'm saying. Is she still the queen and he's just her regent because she doesn't want to be there, or did she say completely, "I'm giving"?
No, she
abdicated. We no longer have the throne.
No, he said, "Look, queen." I think he even said it with like the queen is not going to be here. However, I'm here to challenge for the throne, and if the challenge, if the person who is challenged doesn't show up for the fight, it goes to the person who challenged.
So he's snuck into.
He's gonna. Well, I assume they had an agreement because he was on the royal shuttle. That's the royal shuttle.
But he's another one that could have been the fucking Black Panther.
So now he will be.
Not if she's keeping the Black Panther stuff, because you, again, as we talked about in Civil War, you don't have to be king and Black Panther. They can be two separate things.
But they're technically supposed to be the same.
Technically, schmecknically, they showed you in that movie that it doesn't have to be
the only time it wasn't was because the dad and the son existed at the same time.
Would you like me to prove you wrong on that? Shuri was Black Panther in this movie. She was not the queen.
Because there wasn't a queen yet.
There was the queen regent, which is still the same thing.
No one was ruler at the moment, but they were treating Shuri as queen as soon as her mom died, in case you didn't realize.
But what I'm saying is
they even called her queen.
She was Black Panther before that, though.
No, at the funeral before she ever took the herb, they called her queen. M'Baku called her queen. Everybody called her queen after that. That's why they listened to her.
That's pedantic because she
it's not pedantic. That's what happened in the movie.
But even if the mom had stayed alive, she still would end up being Black Panther.
If she had even become Black Panther, she probably would have. Actually, no, because she probably would have given it to M'Baku in the first place.
Because the mom ain't never going. And even still, then the mom is still queen, and M'Baku would have been Black Panther. So it's still they're tied, but they're not tied.
Except for in that case, they would have challenged for the throne, and there would have been nobody on the other side to challenge back.
So the queen would have picked somebody to fight for her. That's probably what happened with Shuri too. She would have chose a combatant for herself. She would not have fought M'Baku. I don't think she's any kind of that.
No,
stupid.
But that's the problem with it being. It had been a line of succession because they had always won or were never challenged. That's the thing. So it doesn't matter if the bloodline exists or not. It does matter who wins at the challenge at the coronation. Because anytime a new person is coronated and declared king, they have to put it up for a ritual challenge from anyone else. So
they don't have to make them Black Panther. You do not have to be.
No, the two roles go hand in hand. No, the two roles go hand in hand. That's why
Civil War. I'm gonna always go back to that because that movie proves that statement wrong. There was a king on the throne who was not the Black Panther. His son was.
Because he hadn't been coronated yet.
And he's not going to be coronated till the dad's dead.
Well, they could have, because all they would
So
have
if
had to
that
do.
dad lived another 50 years, he'd have been Black Panther
So
for 50 years and never being king.
That's the only problem there, is that he hadn't been declared king yet because his father was there, but his dad gave up Black Panther. Once again, within the royal blood, but given that movie, we even know that he had not been back to Wakanda since Civil War happened. So
But
that's
that wasn't his first time being Black Panther.
I know, but see, that's the problem.
So
here.
he'd already been Black Panther for a while his dad was
But-
still sitting on the throne.
However, traditionally speaking, as you've said, the traditions matter. King,
But you
and
said they don't
King
matter, and I'm
and
saying
Black
that
Panther.
movie.
I'm using your argument. King
And
and
I'm
Black
using
Panther
your argument to
are
negate
always
it.
the same. And King
But
and
they're
Black
not.
Panther
I never
are,
said that
but
because
they
Civil
are.
War proves that wrong.
Okay, then there's your other plot hole in this universe. That means that the little kid,
Exactly
the
my
little
point.
kid is not now or ever will be Black Panther or King of Wakanda.
Well, I'm not ever going to say that because they can do whatever fuck they want to in a movie because they can make him king tomorrow in the next movie you would not even know.
This is why the bloodlines don't matter. This is
But
why,
what I'm saying is M'Baku could be king and she could still say Black Panther because of Civil War.
But the problem is that I
Because
guess
he could choose that. He could be like, I don't want to be Black Panther. Let her stay. She's doing a good job. Because
So-
he's the king. He can do whatever fuck he wants.
we would have to research. However, I think within universe, what happened is while the king was still alive, he was unable to physically be the Black Panther, and he could nominate a new Black Panther, but he could not be king until the king said, "We're going to put it up for a challenge." Once the king
He couldn't be king until the king died. He
That's
would
what
have
I'm
to
saying.
have directly challenged his dad to a battle to the death to become king while his dad was
and
alive.
all his dad would have had to say was, "It's yours," and he doesn't have to kill him because you can just.
That's not how succession works.
In this case, it would, because why wouldn't it?
Because
Like-
it didn't work that way, or he would have been king already.
Well, they also, why the hell was a king of a country that tends to stay secretive at the UN doing anything in the first place?
There's all kinds of yeah.
It's like-
That's what I'm saying. It's more plot holes. But
Because-
all I'm saying is Civil War does make it where M'Baku can be king, and Shuri still stays Black Panther.
But in generally speaking, in this tradition of this country, Black Panther and King are the same people until they decide otherwise.
M'Baku in Black Panther 1 would not ride with that. He would be like, fuck no, I'm king, I'm Black Panther.
Exactly.
M'Baku, wubba dub dub, yuck,
So-
yuck, yuck.
so
M'Baku
right
in this
now-
movie absolutely would go for that.
But then also you now know that they can give up the power of Black Panther anytime they want because they have the shit to counteract the herb.
And they
so-
also have the synthetic shit, so everybody can have Black Panther powers. We have a whole
Yeah.
fucking Black Panther
So
army in 2 seconds.
in this case, and actually we don't know that Shuri didn't do that because we don't know that she still has the powers. They didn't address any of that. They just fucking ended the movie. She might have just literally said, "I'm not keeping the suit. I'm not keeping the powers. Give me the shit to drink. I'm going to go just live a normal fucking life for a while." And then everything goes to M'Baku because there's nobody there to challenge at the moment because he surprised them in the first place. It's like, which is even more fucked up. Everybody's there for her coronation to be Queen Panther, and literally she doesn't show up. Box tradition entirely, or whatever the word is I'm looking for, bucks, and just lets fucking M'Baku just show up in her stead to just say, "Hey, if ain't nobody else gonna do it, it's mine." So
That's what I'm saying. M'Baku in Black Panther 1 would 1000% say, I'm king, I'm also Black Panther, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
This M'Baku will 1000% be okay with her being Black Panther while he's king.
But that's why I said it's like we don't even know that she stayed Black Panther at all because I think she also realized immediately she sucks at both.
Mhm.
She's like, she doesn't want to rule, she wants to stay a scientist, and she only did it out of necessity and panic. Like everybody in this movie made really dumb decisions based on panic and emotions, and that's what the end of it was basically, we got to let it all go to start making smart decisions, and that's what they did. So I think in theory, because at this point we're in theory territory, she gave it all up and just went to Haiti to hang out with the kid. And
my theory is she kept it. My theory is old M'Baku.
But we can turn
this
it on at
M'Baku-
any time now.
Yeah. I'm saying this M'Baku is going to stay king and let her stay Black Panther, or he will let her stay Black Panther and he will also be a Black Panther.
I think he'll be Black Panther proper, and then she'll just be Shuri. Like I don't even think she'll keep the powers. I don't like given her track record and her inability to handle responsibility. Technically, I think she knew that she.
But this movie showed her growing up at a drop of a dime, so
No,
that
it
doesn't
didn't.
work.
The movie showed that she literally doesn't know how to handle anything. So she after getting her ass handed to her as the Black Panther with all the power and all the tech, getting her ass handed to her, she definitely would have just been like, eh.
So this movie is just a softball way of them passing the mantle to another male actor without people being pissed about how they handled the Chadwick Boseman thing.
Yeah. Instead of recasting Chadwick and just letting the T'Challa character exist as somebody else, they just basically ran it, eliminated the royal family almost entirely, and then abdicated all of their responsibilities that remained. And I assume, like, because there's other scientists, and there's nothing saying that she won't just continue doing sciencey shit, but she just said, no, I'm not gonna rule. And I'm not good at Black Panther. And M'Baku, you're a good older brother at the moment. You do it. And he'll be the Gorilla Panther or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I like him, and I hope.
Well, he was Black Panther in the comics too, without being called Gorilla Panther. M'Baku's been Black Panther.
I know. I was making the joke. I mean, in the cartoons, he took over and kicked T'Challa out.
I'm 1000%. If it's M'Baku from Black Panther 1, love him as Black Panther. If it's this M'Baku, I'm gonna fucking hate him as Black Panther. So they're gonna have to do a whole character change again if they keep him as Black Panther.
Well, Ryan Coogler's out, as far as I know. So in theory, whoever's gonna take over writing for Black Panther can totally do that. Because Ryan Coogler didn't want to do this movie. It was
but money will make people do crazy shit.
I think it was like he wrote it and everything, but then like they had to talk him into it. Like he was actually just going to do the first one and go. And essentially, it was like everybody wanted him to stick around. So, unlike Ryan Coogler, we can't stick around. So,
yeah,
we gotta go.
But at the end of the day, we both agree on the score, just maybe for different reasons.
Yeah, of course.
It was not average. It was not great. I think it is a step in the right direction for the MCU. I don't think it's the third day stepping out from behind the Rolling Stone, Resurrection of the Messiah movie. No. But I definitely think it is the jump start that the MCU needs to get into the next phase. But then they better not drop the ball, because you can't keep making movies like this to jump start it and keep it going.
Yeah, no. And I want to say one last thing, because you just mentioned it about the whole resurrection, literally. I think the biggest point to them not recasting T'Challa's character is because he was already gone in universe for 5 fucking years, and then basically was back for a tiny amount of time, and now he's dead without ever doing anything on screen. It's like, so they actually, I think that character was done a disservice by not just recasting and letting him continue in universe, because now we have no T'Challa, at least original T'Challa, and it's just like, they could have done better on that. Either way, we can't do anything about that. It just is what it is.
This movie as a whole is I will give it a 7, just to give it a little bit nicer sounding number, or nice round number. I'd rather round up than round down.
I'm about to
the 6.5. You're gonna go down.
I'm gonna go down.
I don't dislike all the same stuff that you dislike.
To keep it balanced. To keep it balanced, I'm gonna go down.
Well,
you went up. I gotta go down.
Silly.
We're averaging back at 6.5.
That's just silly.
I don't think it deserves a 7. I just say
that because some people, for some reason, when you tell people a 0.5, they always think of that as a negative. It could also be a round up. It could have been a 6, and I rounded up to 6.5. People always think that as a huge negative.
Which is where we were. It's like, because I don't think it deserves a 7, but I don't think it's as bad as a 6.
Yeah. So 6.5 is a legitimate number. But when other people hear it, they go, "Oh God, it was only a 6.5." First of all, 5 is average. Everybody does. I don't think people understand a 10 scale. Because if you say a movie's a 5, they're like, "Oh my God, why'd you fucking hate it so much?" A 5 does not mean you hated it.
Yeah.
A 5 just means it was fine. I'll watch it. It was good.
5 is neutral.
Yeah, a 5 is. I'll tell you, go watch it. If a movie's a 5, I'll tell somebody to watch it. I'll be like, don't expect any glorious things or anything. You might actually hate this movie, but you can go watch it.
For instance, Hawkeye is like a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This, I would tell somebody to go to the theater and watch this. I would tell somebody it's worth the money to go to a movie theater.
That was going to be the last question, is like, do you recommend it on that level?
I would recommend go seeing this in a theater once. It's not bad enough to me to say, oh, fuck no, wait for streaming. This is definitely go see it. A 6.5 is definitely a recommend for me to tell somebody to go see it.
And this is a movie with the emotional impact that I think that you need to see with other people who also have that emotional impact. Doing it at home would do it a disservice.
like an 8 or a 9, that's me telling you to go to movie theater multiple times to see it. Like to put it in reference, The Batman I saw 4 times in theaters. I consider that a 9.
Okay,
So when I tell somebody go see it,
so
it's a 9. I mean, go
on
see it multiple times.
on that point, what is the highest? What would be the highest rating of a Marvel movie so far for you then? That would be on that level.
It would have to be Endgame. I
Okay.
know some people
was gonna
hated
say
it, and I'm not, and I don't care about the time traveling thing being stupid. All time travel is stupid in a movie. They'll
It
never be able to
is.
explain it because it's a fucking theory. It doesn't fucking work. That's why it doesn't exist in the real world. And
Yeah.
people who get mad that it didn't make sense in a movie are fucking stupid.
Yeah,
It's never gonna make sense in a movie.
Endgame would be a 9.
Endgame came the closest out of all these time travel movies. That one's probably the closest to figuring it fuck out. But you're never going to. It's not gonna happen. So it was good. And I love that movie. And like, I will tell you, I fanboyed and I still will for that Avengers Assemble and On Your Left. That shit at the end there, dude, gets me every fucking time. No matter how many times I've seen that movie, probably a dozen times, still gets me every goddamn time.
Yeah.
Iron Man snapping gets me every fucking time. I Love You 3000 gets me every fucking time. I don't give a fuck what people think about how cheesy that is. That movie gets me. And I thought it was a great send off for that whole entire 20 something fucking movies. That was a great ending to all of it.
Yeah. And I think that, unfortunately, I'm going a different route just real quick as we wrap this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to see this movie again.
I would watch it again.
But
once it comes out, I'll own it.
I need to rewatch it.
I don't feel the need to rewatch it, but I will rewatch it.
See, to me,
because like when it comes out, I'm gonna watch it back to back with Black Panther again, just to watch them both lead into each other.
And I think that is symptomatic of a lot of Phase 4, even some later Phase 3. Is the no need to watch it again. But I could rewatch almost everything of Phase 1 and Phase 2 and Phase 3. I could watch it at any given point. I could just rewatch it and like still enjoy the fuck out of it. Most of Phase 4, don't need to ever watch it again.
I would rewatch Moon Knight. I would rewatch.
I was thinking movies, but
okay. So, if we're sticking just movies.
So
I would rewatch.
I've rewatched the Spider-Man multiple times.
I've seen that Spider-Man multiple times.
Yeah,
my oldest is a Spider-Man nut, so I've already seen that movie like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
I mean, of course I'm gonna watch it again.
I mean, I've even rewatched Multiverse of Madness a couple times. But I've watched Shang-Chi once, but like
I've seen Shang-Chi twice.
Like I don't need to see all these things over again.
Eternals I don't need to watch again.
I never need to rewatch that movie.
I mean, it was in the future if they do anything with it where it starts reconnecting backward to make that shit make more sense. I might have to go back and watch it just so I can pick those threads up again. But as far as a movie in and of itself, no, I have no need for that movie.
I want to see a new island nation form on the giant head and arm that are sticking out of the ocean.
I'm getting tired of people making shit come out of the fucking earth and then them not doing anything with it. They did it with Unicron and those stupid Vayverse fucking movies. They did it with this guy and this fucking thing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Those are not bat nipple level movies.
Yes, they are. They are.
No.
Yep. No. Especially that last one. As far as I know, there were only 3 Transformers movies, but either way. All right, guys, we got to go.
They're going with that. There's only 2. There's the first one and Bumblebee.
That's pretty bad. There's only the Witwicky saga.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm not even in on that because I don't like the last one he was in. I thought that shit was stupid.
It was not as bad as 4 or 5.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the Wahlberg one.
The Wahlberg saga can eat a dick in 3.
Yeah, and it's not even because of him, and he's really not great. But those movies were just bad.
No, but Bud Light on a Prius door. That's all I got.
But absolutely, I would recommend go see it in theaters. It's a. I don't feel the need to tell you go see it multiple times in theaters. No. I did not like Shuri as Black Panther, but I like Shuri as a character. She's still at the beginning, at least. I really liked her. Angela Bassett was fucking amazing in this movie.
she needs something for this movie.
Yeah, she was amazing in this movie. I did like the characterization of making them Aztec. Like I can't see how else you would handle that to make it better or worse than taking them away from Atlantis, trying to figure out something else. So I think that was pretty cool.
They weren't they weren't just generic white.
Yeah. They did something with them.
They did something, and technically that's why they made them blue, so it's even more alien.
Yeah. Well, you and this fucking alien shit.
Yeah.
I think Phil should write for Marvel because that guy Dude, he's a fucking encyclopedia. He's not like me. Like even me with Batman, sometimes I have to think really hard to pull up a comic or a thought process from comics. Phil will just rattle that shit off, man. He's scary smart when it comes to shit like that. And he should be writing for them because that Yucatan Peninsula connection that he made. I know it's dinosaurs, and I know we joke about it because he loves dinosaurs, but that's still, I love dinosaurs. Jurassic Park's still probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite movies of all time. You know, it's just up there. And I didn't even make that connection, and I thought that was pretty cool. Go see it. It's not horrible. But don't believe the hype where people are telling you it's trash, and don't believe the hype when they're telling you it's the best fucking movie ever made. It's neither one of those things. It's better than average.
It's better than average, but it's not
great.
It's not everything everyone hoped it would be, but sometimes that is all you need.
It checked enough boxes for me to recommend it.
Yeah. I mean, it was good enough. We cried.
Yep. I didn't admit. Nope. I take that back. I didn't cry nothing. I have allergies.
I cried. It's fine.
You cried.
Yeah, I'm man enough to admit that I didn't just have allergies, even though I did.
Yeah, it did hit me. That beginning is absolutely beautiful, beautifully handled, beautifully done.
I will say maybe it's just because of my white guilt, and I went to go see it on.
I don't have white guilt because I don't. Have those issues.
I'm a person of color. I don't have white guilt. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't have white guilt.
I don't even feel guilt.
That is a whole different conversation, but
no,
I
wanted to have
white guilt.
I meant to have that conversation earlier because we were the only white people in the theater.
Yeah, I wasn't. Like we had like it was kind of a mixed bag in the movie theater.
Well, to be fair, Kara was probably the only like truly white person in the theater because she glows in the dark.
Kara was glowing in the movie
exactly.
theater.
She glows in the dark.
Yeah, but no, it was a mixed bag where we were at.
And Dormammu saw it in a completely empty theater, apparently at like 11
which
o'clock
is
at
crazy
night or something.
Which is crazy on an opening week.
Dude, it was opening weekend, and we only had like maybe 20 people in our theater, but it was a 4 o'clock.
This theater was packed the fuck out.
But we saw it at 4 in the afternoon. I bet at 5 or 6, it was probably totally packed.
We saw it at like 1:30 on a Sunday, and that shit was packed the fuck out.
Yeah, we saw it on 4 o'clock on a Saturday. I expected it to. I expected to fight for tickets.
Yeah,
but it was odd that we were the only white people in the theater. Like it's just like this does feel a little strange. It's like
why? I've been to plenty of movies with only just white people in it. Why would you be? Because of
the conversation we had ahead of this. That's why.
Which one? The colonizer thing?
No, the one where no white people were supposed to go see the movie.
Oh, that stupid shit. That still blew Bobby's mind. I need to get a hold of him.
I need to talk. I want to talk to him about that because I want to hear it. Either way, we need to go.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Subscribe to things.
Before we go, real quick, I want to go ahead and put this out there tonight because it's going to be too late when we record the next show. The boys won their game the other night. Their first round in the tournaments. They were ranked first seed, so they had to play Tuesday night. And they're playing tonight in the championship game. This will be my son's first championship game in a little league, and I'm super excited for it. And I hope they do really well.
And they're going to win. No,
yeah, that's what I said.
How about this? They won.
Yeah, that's what I told them. I told them all after it. Ironically enough, we're playing the same team that is the only team that has beat us this season.
Oh, them again.
First time they whomped us 11-0.
Again. Okay, it's revenge.
The second time, they only beat us 6-5.
Good.
So, and they only beat us because they had a walk-on run when time had run out in the game.
So it's an average of 11.
We could beat them.
It's an average of 11 points. So all you have to do this time around is do 7-4, and you guys win.
We can totally. This is what I told the boys. I was like, you showed them last game we could beat them. They won by pure luck because the clock ran out. If we'd had one more at bat, we would have beat them.
So
they have it in them.
Everyone in the comments say congratulations because we're affirming that they won, even though we're doing YouTube time travel here.
Go Dodgers, go Isaac, because we're gonna win tonight.
And fuck whatever the other team's name is.
Well, now I can't play that for my son because you had to drop the F-bomb in there, and they're the Marlins.
Because your sons have never heard that word.
They don't. You'd be surprised how.
That's right.
I can go to church without cussing.
That's right. I go to a church that they do cuss.
But that's the best church ever.
It is. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.